Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of Max's Man Cave and the first Max's Man Cave of 2024. And I am joined by none other than my wonderful co-hosts, Drew and Aaron. And unfortunately, Josh could not make it tonight, but we send our love and our prayers towards him and his family. And chat, I'm sure once he comes back, he'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. But if you guys could also send your love his way, I know he would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, how has 2024 started out for you guys, Drew and Aaron? I know Drew was at a football game and Aaron was just on a big streamer's live stream. So yeah, how's 2024 treating y'all so far?
Well, I just went on Aaron Lepresti's birthday live stream to wish him a happy birthday. Of course, Aaron was on your show just this week. He's been a longtime friend of mine. I've known him longer than he's known his wife, as you guys joked about. Right. He said he clarified not in the biblical sense, and I said always a bridesmaid, never a bride. But he is just an absolutely great guy. So it was my pleasure to be able to go on and wish him a happy birthday and hang out with him and Shelly and everybody. That just such a great outpouring of love for him from the comics, indie comics community. So that was fantastic. As far as 2024 is going, I don't know if you guys remember, but like it was like November of last year. I was like, this year in 2024, I'm only working on Kneel Before Doomface. I'm done with comics. Otherwise, like I'm just completely done. I'm just going to work on this.
Right.
We're now in January, and I'm working on more comics than I had any plans on, for the whole year, just in this 1 month. So
yeah, it's incredible.
I've had a lot of people like reach out, including I'm working with Drew on Drew's various books. Of course, we know Unholy Nightmare, but there's other ones that I don't even think Drew has revealed yet, so I won't do it here. But a lot of stuff with him, working on Brotherhood of the Wolf, which I just tweeted about and put on my Instagram today. So if you guys want to check it out, I'm helping. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to guess. But his name's Wes. He's a first-time writer, but he gave me an absolutely brilliant script that I completely love. He's obviously thought about it a long time and really, put a lot of effort into it. And that shares Drew's Unholy Nightmare artist, Aurelio Mazzara. So that's absolutely fantastic. Awesome. And then some other stuff that I can't talk about yet, but that's very exciting. So it's good. Shaping up to be a good year so far.
I was about to say that's fantastic. Getting some jobs and some writing jobs nonetheless, and editing, and you're kind of firing on all cylinders here, man. So that's a great way to start 2024. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for all the books to come in the months to months to be. So
so good.
Yeah. Drew, you also have quite a few books that you've been sourced out. People keep saying, hey, we need a writer. Can you do this for us? And they keep badgering you about that. But yeah, man, I mean, when both of you guys produce quality entertainment on time with, creative integrity and a smile on your face, well, I mean, how could people not hire you guys? But yeah, it's awesome to hear. So
yeah, and one thing I love about having Aaron just in my corner is that I know he will be honest with his feedback. He's not going to hold back on it. It's not like working for Marvel where it's just first draft and you're done. That's it.
Right. We didn't even read it. Just push it through.
Because there's one project in particular, Aaron, there's some I can't talk about. One, I told him I want to slam dunk this. Like I want this to be like the one that's going to like wake people up. And I love Aaron's notes. And yeah, it's just I can't wait for people to get a hold of that one too, as well as the other ones I'm working on.
Yeah,
Drew's working on a lot of good stuff. We can't talk about it yet, but that's what kills me inside.
Yeah,
like there's so much cool stuff going on. Yeah. I know, and I can't talk about it, and he can't. He's not ready to talk about it yet. Yeah. And then even stuff that I'm working on, I can't talk about. That's always the so that when you do announce it, you're always glad that people are excited about it, but you're like, I was excited about this 5 months ago.
Yeah.
As you were writing it, yeah,
it's kind of old hat now.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just excited too because you still have your Christmas tree up, and now it's a countdown as to when it will be gone, which I'm sad about. But until then, hey, it looks beautiful. So
yeah, you can also get a little peek of over here. my paints and things like that. That's where I was working today when you and Kara and Steph and X-Ray Girl were doing your paint stream. That's where I was sitting listening, and which you've seen because you helped me move some furniture over here. Yeah. I was sitting over there doing painting my ogre.
Hell yeah, man. No, I love those streams in the mornings. They're fantastic. And thank you, Rudy. Josh appreciates it, and I know we all appreciate it as well. And hail and happy 2024 to you, Rudy, as well as Fear and my main man, Nick Weiser. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, so real quick, so your streams, Max, you have the Warhammer. The one thing that you're missing in your accoutrement is like a little monocle or something where you're like painting. You're like a little close examination, like a little like a
I need
magnoscopic.
I need those glasses that or
maybe just like one. That's just like one glass, just like one monocle thing where it's like you zoom
like
in.
A jeweler, a jeweler's eyepiece.
Yeah. Yes. I like it. I'll think about adding it to the repertoire. And hello, Cajun. Hail to you, brother. And Jan, I think I said hi to you as well. But chat. Happy 2024, and thanks for being here in Max's Man Cave. But to start things off, we've got a ton of topics tonight, and we may have a special guest joining us a little bit later. But before she joins us, or he, who knows? I don't want to give it away. But before they join us, this is before they Zemzers joins us. This one hits close to home, and this was actually brought to my attention because of Steph from My Nerdy Home. But this one hits close to home because this is right in our backyard, Aaron. So, Chad, if you don't know, Aaron and I are living in California, and you get stuff like this that really, really perplexes, really makes you scratch your head. California stores now legally required to keep toy aisles gender neutral. Now, I am more of a statue guy, but our good friend and co-host Aaron Sparrow, like your realm is action figures, is collectible toys. Mm-hmm. What is your thoughts on this news that we've received here in SoCal?
California has the dumbest governor and legislature in the union. We have rampant crime. We have just homeless people just wandering the streets like zombies. I can't drive anywhere without like constantly being on my guard that some meth head might just wander into the street in front of my car, and then I would have to deal with the ramifications of killing somebody because the government just allows people to just wander freely and does nothing to help get these people off the streets and help them get their lives back together. Even though, we spend a ton of money on homeless, and Gavin Newsom promised it was going to be cleaned up in 10 years, and it's worse than ever. These are the problems that we have in this state, and this is what they are focused on. They're focused on forcing stores that carry toys to have gender-neutral aisles. First of all, I thought gender was just a social construct. So how can you walk down an aisle that's just Barbie and say that that's a gendered aisle?
Yeah, right. So, and isn't that the confusing part? It's like, yeah, so if gender is a social construct, then male and female are like, there's no binary, right? Except for
so by the very nature, binary. Every aisle is gender neutral. So they shouldn't have to change a thing.
Right.
But this idea that you have to like socially engineer boys to want to play with Barbies or girls to want to play with action figures, that already exists. All right. There are some boys that like playing with Barbies, especially if they have a sister who has Barbies, they'll play with Barbies with their sister. If they've, there's plenty of girls that like the Avengers. There's plenty, or did maybe before Phase 4 and 5, but there's plenty of, kids that like Star Wars or did before the dark times. There's all these action figures, Jurassic Park, dinosaurs, typically you would think, oh, that's for boys. I see little girls buying it all the time. It's a ridiculous notion that we should reorganize all these toy aisles to be gender neutral. What does that even mean? And why is that something that the state is even involved in?
That's the big thing is like, one, it's extremely minor. Well, minor, pun intended, I guess, because we're talking about kids.
Our government loves minors. Oh wait.
Yeah, we can't say that. A certain list is being released right now, Aaron, to get all those MFers into the wood chipper, hopefully. But yeah, no, it's such a minor issue within the grand scheme of things, of everything that's going on in California. Right now, we have an unprecedented amount of immigrants coming over the border that are unchecked, that have we don't know where they are, and they're coming over from places of with terrorist backgrounds. And I don't want to get too political because this is a pop culture show, but there are so many larger issues right now within California, and they're worried about toy aisles. They're worried about making sure, as the quote says, that we create a welcoming, inclusive environment for all. Oh, go fuck yourselves. Right? It's like the toy aisles are inclusive for all kids, regardless of whether you're a boy or you're a girl. It doesn't matter, because they're toys and kids love this stuff. And look at all these action figures. Like, as a kid, it doesn't matter what this like. You're just thinking, oh, this looks cool, or oh, I remember seeing this character on this TV show. I don't know, man. It seems like a waste of their time, only to what was it? The World Economic Forum that one of the individuals was saying, we have to force change. We have to force how people think and how people act in order to enact change. They are forcing these decisions on people regardless of whether they want it or not. And that's kind of the scary aspect of what this looks like, right?
Well, and how much money was spent by the California taxpayers to push forward this bill? How much money was spent?
Oh,
God only knows. Yeah.
I don't even want to.
That's the big question. That's what I would love to know. If I were a taxpayer out there, how much money was spent, wasted? Yeah.
There's two types. It's like everybody tries to divide everything into right and left, and I think it's becoming much simpler than that. There are people who just want to be left the hell alone. And then there's people who want to control every single aspect of your life, down to what aisle your kids walk down to buy the toys that they want. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. It needs to be pushed back against all of this ridiculousness. All of these people should be dragged out into the street and thrown out of their jobs. It's absolutely unbelievable. But California is one of the dumbest voting states in the union. We never throw out any bad politicians, because as long as they have a D next to them, people will vote for them. And what I tell people all the time is, you do not want one party in complete control of any state. You always want it to be competitive. You want them to have to compete for your vote. And nobody in this state sees it that way. They're just so unbelievably brainwashed, assuming we even have fair elections in California at all, because I'm not convinced that we do. There's plenty of dead people on our voter rolls. There's plenty of times that I've been on the voter rolls more than once. I've been sent multiple ballots in the mail. It's just it's absolute chaos. So the fact that this kind of stuff is what they are deciding to focus on, this meaningless, they can't fix anything that actually needs to be fixed. There's no money in it for them, but they'll get involved with just nonsense like this.
It really does seem like nonsense. And speaking of things from our childhood and being able to like enjoy these figures and whatnot, this is pretty much all I had to say about this. I found it interesting, like I said, because right before we started, Steph from My Nerdy Home had brought this up on her live stream, and I found it so unbelievably futile. Like, why are they doing this? What's the purpose? And it's right in our backyard. It's here in California, so I was like, you know what? Yeah, we might as well cover it and talk about it. But in other news, I thought this was actually pretty interesting as well. So for you guys, at least for me, these images, if you guys can see these blown up, if you guys have seen these images, this is Sam Keith, this is Mark Teixeira, and this is, of course, Todd, the Todd father himself. This is my childhood right here. This is 90s excellency. This is over-exaggerated biceps, pectorals, and gluteus maximus musculature that just popped off of the page. And this is why I got into comics. This is what drew me into the comic shop. And Perch had posted this earlier this week and said, strange to see impassioned arguments against this. Maybe it's because it's Rob. Maybe it's because he said it's a hot take. It's really not. The style and talent of the artist needs to be center stage. Anatomy needs to largely serve the style. If the style is popular, it works. And Rob's hot take, quote unquote, was the most recent generation of artists is far too hung up on anatomy and sensible proportions. It's because they don't want to be criticized. They fear justifying individuality. So happy my peers didn't have those same reservations. Just have fun. And it's incredible the types of responses that have been
like just go down here.
Yeah. But not too much fun, Rob. Not even his image. Not even his he goes, this isn't me. Wide miss. And then this guy said, I don't like anyone else drawing Spider-Man other than Romita Sr. And Rob said, interesting, because that's actually his least favorite who's drawn Spidey. You know,
I mean, look, I'll say this, hot take myself. I'm not a big Romita Sr. fan. I like him, but he's probably bottom 5 for me, maybe outside the top 5. I don't. Sure. I mean, he has some classic runs, but it was a very safe style for Spider-Man. There's nothing very exciting about it.
Yeah. And then this one is just, this guy says, what the hell is this even supposed to be? Dude.
That's his leg. That's his leg up onto his knee. Yeah. He's got one leg pulled up.
Yep. This is his knee. This is his other leg. These are his arms coming down in between him. This is Sam Keith's artistic expression.
If you can't tell what pose he's supposed to be into, or he's supposed to be in, then you're an idiot. Just look at it for more than 2 seconds. Like it's quite obvious what he's doing there. There's no ambiguity. There's no confusion there about what the pose is.
Yeah. This is, and then I think even at one point Rob retweeted this or quote tweeted this, and he said, because this guy says, what the hell is this even supposed to be? And Rob said, like, commercial art. And I love that, I love that response, because at the time, this is what was selling. Sam Keith was on the Max. He was on Marvel Comics Presents doing the Wolverine stuff. Sam Keith was everywhere. At least he was doing Venom. And some
Sandman as well.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this guy says, how you doing with drawing feet these days? And I think Rob's response was, after 35 years of the industry and multi-million dollars later, I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing? Just absolutely slaughtered this dude, right?
Listen, I loved Rob when he debuted because his art was fresh and exciting, and it was exciting to see him come on to New Mutants, and especially when you had like McFarlane inking his covers and things like that. I was super into it. Later, when he got into X-Force and he was drawing his own, like kind of his own plots, I started to appreciate it less, and then got into the point where I really got into being very critical of it. I've since come back around. I think that I'll always think that that he does better when someone else is writing for him, because it kind of forces him out of his box and forces him to stretch, which I always think is a good idea for an artist to do. But you cannot deny that when he came onto the scene, his art was very kinetic, and it was different, and it was exciting. And yeah, his fingers were too long, and yeah, people had too many teeth, and their musculature wasn't always right. And he'd hide the feet a lot of the times behind rocks and smoke. But that was drama. A lot of guys were doing it. You can go look at Mike Mignola's work, and there's a lot of characters with stuff in front of their feet. What is that? Because Mike Mignola can't draw feet, or he doesn't like to draw feet? I don't know. Sometimes it's just dramatic.
Yeah, you want to talk about distorted bodies? Yeah, Mike Mignola's the master at that. It's none of that looks, proportionate. He's stuck with that style now for the last almost 40 years, and it's worked out well for him. A
lot of his characters look like they're just chiseled straight from stone. Yeah, the way he draws Hellboy, he looks like a rock sculpture. But I'll tell you what, when you look at it, it's visually different, it's visually interesting, and it pulls you in. So Rob is not wrong here. And all of these other people, worked nonstop for 38 years straight. You?
Yeah, right. I love that. Love it. Because he's not insulting him. He's just literally stating a fact. Yeah, I worked in the industry for 38 years. How are you doing? Right?
And he's still here, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
You know what this reminds me of? I saw a tweet to the kid that was the star of Malcolm in the Middle. And someone tweeted at him, and they tagged him in it. They said, just watched Agent Cody Banks. What a shit movie. And then this tagged him and said he can't act. And he wrote back and he goes, yeah, but you know what's awesome? Being retired at 28.
That's pretty dope. I like that. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, well, granted, sometimes it's fun to, for example, Mark Ruffalo recently just posted on Twitter about about an AI image of Donald Trump on the plane. I don't know if I can say his name, but on the plane, and it's clearly AI generated. And Mark posts it on his Twitter and is like, this is the man who went over on Epstein's island. He needs to be held accountable. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, according to records, he never did. So, yeah, according to...
Right.
Yeah, and it was clearly an AI image if you looked at it for more than 2 seconds and you weren't a complete moron, which, of course, Mark Ruffalo is. He's one of the dumbest people on the planet.
Yeah, but will he call out Stephen Hawking, who was there, or Bill Clinton, who was there 57 times? No.
Well, see, yeah, that's the funny thing is it's like, I wish that the anger that they're experiencing, that they didn't get a gotcha on Trump, I wish that anger was more for the people that did go to the island. I wish it was directed towards them, because it seems like they don't have a problem with all the people that went there and why they went there, as much as the fact that they just didn't get their gotcha on the political candidate that they hate.
Yeah. No, and so with examples like that with Mark Ruffalo, it's easy to roast him, but realistically, the dude has FU money, so much so that it doesn't matter what we say, right?
No.
However, he puts himself out there and just makes the dumbest stuff. And it's like, how can you not make fun of this? The fact that you quote tweeted an AI image to try and dunk on the chuds. It's like, come on, man. You're better than
that. And then the best part was when he had to backtrack on it because he got embarrassed about it. He said that it was Elon Musk's fault for allowing so much disinformation on Twitter. And it's like, Elon Musk is the reason that you're stupid, that you're just dumb as a bag of anvils. You absolute dipshit, empty brained. Like everybody I know who is, I met Mark Ruffalo once and I thought he was a stuffed shirt. I didn't talk with him long enough to get an impression of the intelligence of our conversation, but he was just kind of like an empty shell. It seemed like, and a lot of actors are that way, and a lot of actors will tell you that other actors are that way. Anthony Hopkins is famous for saying he doesn't give political takes because actors are not very smart.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Anthony Hopkins, you see him in an interview, he is light years smarter than Mark Ruffalo. So, it's one of those things where it's like, you think that because you have this, because you're recognized and because you have a following, because people see you, people know who you are, that you have this right to come down like Moses from the holy mountain and tell the rubes what's what. It's like, you don't know anything. Ricky Gervais was absolutely right when he lit into them at that award show. And he said, you know nothing of the real world. So just get up here, thank your agent, thank your God, and F off.
Yeah, that never gets old.
We need that.
I love watching that.
Yeah. Except if they did thank their God, they'd be saying, thank you to my agent, thank you to Harvey Weinstein, and thank you to Moloch.
Or Xenu. Yeah.
Yeah, Xenu or Moloch. Yeah.
Beelzebub.
No, they're fighting against Xenu, Drew. If you know the Scientologist.
That's right.
Doctrine.
That's right.
Yeah, Xenu's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the one who collected all the souls and tossed them into volcanoes.
Yeah,
from the DC towns.
From the C-130s.
Yeah, thank you, South Park, for your information. Yeah, but what is that? Yeah, what would the equivalent of that be? You post something that you think is factual that ends up being not. Everything that you have done in that action of reading something, posting it, and then actually commenting on it and saying this is correct, but then having the information come out not be so, but then you blame someone else. What is that even? How could you even create a metaphor for that or equate that to someone else's blaming it on Elon Musk? That is absolutely insane. But it will get more difficult. I will say it will get even more difficult with AI to differentiate. Oh man, this looks pretty damn real. But we'll see. We'll see. This, however, it's pretty distinguishable. When you see something like this is Sam MF and Keith. Like this is, I have his, I have an artist's edition of some of the Marvel covers from the 80s and 90s, and they have a ton of Sam Keith stuff in there. And it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Wolverines. I'd say like Silvestri is probably my number one. Drew, don't tell Kyle, but I think Jim Lee is up there with drawing Wolverine. But Sam Keith is up there with the best of them. Mark Teixeira or Tex, like he's up there. But you also got freaking
Kelly Jones.
Kelly Jones, yeah, Kelly Jones, another incredible Batman. This was Keith Giffen, yeah. And then again McFarlane. So like this is just Rob on this post. He said 90s art, so much incredible freedom of expression, so much great fun. I don't agree with everything Rob says. He has some pretty interesting movie takes that make me think twice about.
Yeah, he appreciates some movies that I'm like, no.
Love you, Rob, and I love your work, but can't go there with you on this one. Sorry, buddy. But no, he's 100% right with this stuff. It's like I see these comics, I see these images, I see these covers, I see this interior art, and I go, man, look at how much fun these creators were having creating this, and how much fun readers were having with reading it.
Yeah, and look at his response. This guy Clay says,
"This one,
yeah, but these are designed." Okay, first of all, what does that mean? What does that even mean? How is that? How is that a rebuttal? And then he says, not to be confused with, this was the best I can do. It's a topic for a different conversation. Todd McFarlane was recently more open about his process and agrees that his art wasn't good enough in the beginning. Okay, first of all, you will probably never find an artist of any skill that will tell you that their stuff was great at the beginning of their career, because they are always their own worst critics. They're always looking, if you're an artist worth your salt, you're always looking to improve. I'll tell you something about Todd McFarlane's work. I was so enamored of Todd on Spider-Man that I was buying Marvel Team Up because he was drawing the covers on it. And so you would get his version of characters that weren't appearing in Amazing Spider-Man. Older characters that were either dead or gone, or, they weren't being used anymore. They weren't popping up, in that book. So you'd be like, oh shit, Todd's drawing the Molten Man on this cover. I got to get this. I was buying every single issue just to see his version of those characters, just to have that. So
even before that, on Infinity Inc. at DC Comics, he was getting people to check out Infinity Inc. because of his graphic design background and his style and how unique it was with his scouts in that comic series.
I fell in love with Mr. Bones because of his version. I thought Mr. Bones was the coolest thing I'd seen in comics at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is pretty interesting. This guy says, comics, fun? Where are the pages of preachy dialogue boxes, and stiff, tepid art of superheroes just standing around?
I know.
Yeah, it's not like
they're in the X books. That's where they're at.
Yeah, right. I mean, oh my God, look at this is so much emotion and just mood. Like there's so much invested into these images. And though they're not like, I don't know, traditionally, Sam Keith is not traditionally like one to have perfect physiques or
no, that's what makes it special and unique. That's what makes that's what makes him an artist. I don't know anyone. I mean, well, how should I say this correctly? I don't know anyone with the right mind who wants everything to be photo accurate in their art.
Yeah.
It just
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all on that there.
Especially their superheroes, man. Like, I don't want Lobo to look like me.
That's the that's why it says super. That's why it says super, then hero. It's supposed to it's above a hero.
Yeah. More Mark Teixeira. This is actually his Weapon X. So even cooler than just his regular Wolverine. But
I see I see Silver Fox back there. I see Donald Pierce, the renegade White Bishop of the Hellfire Club.
Hell yeah. So I mean, I just thought this was an interesting. It's not really like a topic or a news article, right? But I've been seeing this all week from Rob, and I've been seeing people in his mentions just shitting on him for this take. And it's such a basic you know, it's very much like Glenn O'Leary saying like, hey, I'd rather have creators not write themselves into the comic book, you know. And this is Rob just saying, hey, I love the 90s style of art. I think we should go back to that. And people just being like, why don't you go draw fucking feet again? And it's like, hey, why don't you go get another insult from like 20 years ago that isn't interesting because you're not interesting because you're a wet towel of a personality.
And Rob has drawn plenty of feet.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's
the
like
last 38 years of his career, he's drawn a lot of feet. I've seen him draw feet.
He's drawn, I'll say this, he's drawn enough feet to live in Southern California very comfortably. Very comfortably. So no one else can say that.
So I will say one last thing about the art. Like, what makes that art from the 90s so special is that every style was unique. Look at all those right there. They were all different, all vastly different. You look at some of the styles today, especially across the X line, in my honest opinion, a lot of them look the same. I mean, honestly, if I did not look at the credits and looked at some of the X books, I would have thought, oh, it's the same guy using his computer to make these pages. I don't see I don't want to discredit the artists who do the work on the computer because I understand a lot of artists, you know, do a lot of work on the computer, but I mean, there's something special about doing it by hand. You can just tell the time, the effort, the love, the passion that went into those pages.
Drew, you know, these are the kind of people that be like, you know, look at a Bernie Wrightson piece and be like, oh, why does it look like that?
Oh God. Drew, who are your top 3 artists right now in modern books, you think?
On interiors?
On interiors. Right now I can give you 3 that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. I would say Jorge Jimenez is one. Dan Mendoza would be another. And my third, this is a curveball. I'm going to say Carlos Magno. Carlos Magno.
Which one is he on?
Carlos, he did work for like Avengers Next Strike. He did the Capwolf series with Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Yeah. Like he needs to be getting mainstream work, but he just keeps getting relegated to a lot of these I guess shitty tie-in books. It's like, no, this guy should be on Avengers or X-Men because his art is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a good call. I'm like the first ones that come off the top of my head: Dan Mora, Daniel Warren Johnson, and who's the guy who was doing the Venom series that we have just
Fareed Karami.
Fareed Karami. Yeah. Dude, that dude needs to be on every Marvel book possible.
Yes.
And then the other one is Roberto De La Torre, doing all the Conan stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and what I'm basically trying to say, my point is that Dan Mora, Dan Johnson, Roberto De La Torre, and Fareed Karami all have distinguishable styles between each other, and they all look completely different, and yet I all love them for like a certain aspect of why that art is really, really cool. I know, Aaron, you're not reading modern books, but
I mean, I'm reading a few, but I'm not nearly as well versed in memorizing, you know, the artists that you know. I know the ones on the books that I'm reading, but you know, I can't do a comparative across, you know, multiple books because that's your guys' arena.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the cross we have to bear.
You see, but that's the thing is, it's like you're like, yeah, Carlo Magno should be drawn like these other books at Marvel, but they're just going to put him on a book where he's going to have to draw people, you know, eating in a diner. He's not going to get to do anything exciting, you know. Like if you put him on multiple books in the Marvel line, there's nothing there for him to dig his teeth into. At least with Venom, he gets to draw some monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And the who's the other one? Brian Hitch, who was doing Ultimate Invasion. Was that the one, Drew?
Yeah, where nothing happened once again.
Yeah, nothing happened. It's people standing around, and it's like, oh, look at this beautiful architecture. You know what I mean? Like he drew like a beautiful kind of like city hall looking like mansion behind them, and it's like, cool. We have like a beautiful background and just people standing. You know, so I guess that's something. But yeah, he's probably like, gosh dang it, he's drawn everything. He's like, give me something to work with here.
I'd throw Marco Cicchetto in there, you know.
Marco's good. Yeah.
But these are these are all guys that have a distinctive style. You know, they're not all drawn like you know. You look at you look at some of the books out there, and I don't entirely blame the artist, because I know that the amount of money that they're getting paid is not good. And I know the time crunches that they're under are not good. So, a lot of them are just resorting to like getting 3D models off of, online, and just kind of like drawn off of that, because they need to crank it out and they need to not spend a lot of time on it to make it worth, the time that they're getting paid for. But when you get somebody who's just an absolute, beast, and they're going to sit down and, they're going to get paid enough to make it worth their time, like a Dan Mora, like a Clayman, or a Jason Fabok. Those are guys that, but we don't see a lot of them because they can't afford them.
That's why we keep like, you mentioned Fabok, and I was like, oh my God, how'd I forget? Oh, that's right. He hasn't been on a book in like 3 years. You know what I mean? Maybe more. Shoot, now, because I'm trying to remember the last time I saw him. It wasn't
he's supposed
a cover.
To be doing he's supposed to be doing the ghost, like that during part of the
Ghost Machine,
whatever it is. Yep. Ghost Machine. Yeah.
So look at Mirka Andolfo. She doesn't have an anatomically perfect style a lot of the time. No. A lot of times she's doing something really cartoony and really fun, and I love her stuff.
You know who has a distinctive style is the guy who did Tim Drake Robin.
What's funny though? Okay, so we rag on Riley Rossmo a lot because of how shitty that Robin book looks. And then you think of like even like Squirrel Girl, like Erica Henderson can actually draw, but her style on Squirrel Girl was complete trash and it looked awful. It was ugly. That's the same thing with Riley Rossmo on Robin. But I saw a cover, like a Ninja Turtles cover, that I think one of you guys posted in one of the groups that Riley Rossmo had done, and it was freaking amazing.
Yeah, he's doing stuff on Sandman right now, and I'm like, this looks so good. Like, what did you do, Riley? Like, your bean-headed, tippy-toe Robin story was awful, and like you do this Sandman book, and it's like, damn, you've been this talented like the whole time, and you just didn't show it. I don't know.
I mean, well, he probably got that script and was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Well, this is good enough for who it's for.
Right. Or if it's Martin was just like, no, I don't want this. I want them to look awful. I want their hips to be up here, and I want them to do a little sassy hand thing, and he's probably just like, okay, I guess. But speaking,
my old friend,
just goes black and white, zooms in on him. Speaking of Tim Drake Robin, however, we have a $5 super chat from Lane Kramer. Lane, thank you so much, man. Hail to you, my friend.
Hail to thee.
He asks, and actually a great question for both Drew and Aaron. He says, Aaron, Dolan, each is a comic writer and editor. How would each of you approach rehabbing Tim Drake Robin, and what would be your pitch? If one can rehabilitate Tim Drake Robin, what would be your pitch? Great question, Lane, and thank you for this.
If I could do anything, the first thing I would do is I would retcon him being bisexual, because that's never been part of his history. I would, I would just completely ignore that, and ignore that ever happened, and just try to write a straightforward Robin book that tied into, the themes of Batman. I would try to go back to like the Chuck Dixon era of Robin, when Tim Drake was really interesting. You had him and like Mike Waringo doing that book, and it was gorgeous, and it was fun, and you had lots of adventures with him and Spoiler. It also depends on like what the thing is when you do these kind of things. It's like, what are the editorial edicts? How old does he have to be? Can he be younger, or does he have to be like a young man now? Where does it fit in the continuity? There's always those considerations. But my feeling on this stuff is that part of the reason that it endures so long is because the basics are so good. So you go back to basics and you try to tell stories that spin out of the foundation that the people that created the character put together. And I think if you do that, you can't go wrong. And I think you bring fans back.
Yeah. I can't find any fault in anything you said. The only thing is that as much as I would agree with you on going back to his roots as being a straight man and having a relationship with women, once you change the sexuality of a character towards something in the LGBTQ community, you will never be able to bring them back to what they were. You will never be able to make them straight again, because that is somehow not inclusive, or it's It's erasure, right? We hear that word a lot. It's erasing us. You're erasing our humanity and human rights and blah, blah, blah. When in all actuality, that was an addition. That was a retcon. And now we're bringing it back to what the core of him was, So, but that's I think mainly why we see a lot of sexuality swaps as of late, is because people know that that's their mark that you can't change. Once that's been done, the social norms of our culture in 2024 will never allow you to change it back without extreme controversy. I don't know.
No, you'd have 12 people with a bunch of sock puppet accounts causing a bunch of problems on Twitter. But that's the only place that it would be an issue. The thing is, we have this corporate idea that we can't offend this group because of all the backlash that we'll get. What got a lot of backlash was Hogwarts Legacy, and it sold through the roof. It basically, as soon as the activists picked that fight, I was like, this is their overreach. You're not going to be able to stop it. There's too many normies that love Harry Potter that aren't going to care about this. You're just going to Streisand affect it. It's going to be more successful than you can possibly imagine. And it is going to illustrate how little buying power or cultural influence you actually have. This is a huge mistake on your part. And sure enough, they walked right into it.
Yeah. Drew, how do you feel about would you do anything differently that Aaron spoke about earlier about how you would approach the Tim Drake Robin aspect of things?
No, but the one thing I would add is to get more. I would add an aspect of him rediscovering of who he really is. Because my story would involve sometime during Tynan's Joker War or whatever it was. I was going to say granted this is a spitball pitch. What if he were drugged by someone he trusted, and this drug that he was given, warped his mind? It altered his mind a bit. It altered his hormones in his mind, and he was it turned him back to a teenage mentality. He was confused, and he finds out about this in the first issue. He was drugged by someone he trusted, but then he goes on a cleanse and has to go on himself a rediscovery journey of who he really is, and it would end issue 6 with him becoming Red Robin, putting on the Red Robin costume from Kingdom Come.
That would be cool, man. I like that. Yeah.
See, that's tough. It's when you hit us off the cuff, what would your pitch be? It's we haven't really had time to sit down and think about it. So this is just, all of this is just immediately off the cuff. But, but if you sat down, you sat down, you brainstormed and you bounced it back and forth with, some friends that you trust and things like that. Then you come up with a more complicated story.
Mm. I think too, with something of a self-rediscovery or a hero's journey, bringing him back to, form, it would also be kind of a meta thing because the fans would be rediscovering their love for the character. Right? Yeah. So much has been done, and you could do that for any book. I mean, name any. You could do it for X-Men. You could do it for Batman. You could do it for Wolverine. For any book that's coming out right now, if they went back to just form and started doing these self-discovery, rediscovery stories of who they are, who the core of their character is, and bringing them back to their former glory, I think the fans would respond really well because
I'm just thinking honestly. I'm just thinking of I'm getting excited thinking about putting him retraining under Lady Shiva and her running him through the ringer. And
that's exactly what I was thinking. Lady Shiva in the back of my head when Drew gave his pitch. I was like, "Yep, I see Lady Shiva in this story."
The unfortunate thing is Poison Ivy can't do that because Poison Ivy is a lesbian now. So it's everyone is just, you can't do anything. So, but well, thank you again, Lane, for the super chat. That was super generous of you, brother. I greatly appreciate the support. So on to our next kind of topic. I thought this was super spicy. Once again from Twitter. This is from our good friend Joe Sontag, incredible comic book creator, great dude. I don't
think I've ever met him.
I don't know if he's ever been on one of our live streams, but I've been in some of his.
Last name.
He
does. Does he do Reaper Destroyer? Is that his book?
He does Reaper Destroyer, and then he also has an incredible live stream called Appreciating Comic Art, and he has people like Brett Booth on there. He has guys like he had EVS on there, so he's got some big name guys coming on his stream, and they basically go through Mark Silvestris, your Mark Teixeira's, your whoever it is, big name creators within that 80s 90s space, and they just flip through and they kind of EFAP these comic books, and they do it as artists. So they talk about the inking, or they talk about the coloring, or they talk about like the panel work and how everything is laid out on the book. Joe does a great job on his channel. So if you guys want a good book and a good channel, go check out Joe Sontag. But he and Clayton Barton were kind of having this discussion on Twitter this week about crowdfunding and what fans expect from crowdfunding campaigns in terms of schedule and in terms of like what should the timing be on a book. And you get people like this who say, oh, well, if your book is already late, go fuck yourself. Your book is late. It's not going to come out. You can't promise backers anything, blah, blah, blah. And Joe had been pretty adamant about communicating with his community that he had a very, serious family issue that he had to take care of. So he just told this guy to fuck himself. Right. Mm-hmm. But the great thing about Joe is that he was communicating this through his fans on the crowdfunding.
He's giving updates.
Book. Absolutely. Yeah. So what is y'all's take? Between the three of us, we've backed probably, I don't even know, hundreds of comics at this point.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. What is your time frame that you guys prefer? And if a creator goes over that, what's kind of the threshold that you're like, you know what? It's okay. It's a year late, but this is, it's okay. Do you guys have something like that where you feel is acceptable?
For me, it's if they do one, then another, then another, then another, then another, and they haven't fulfilled like that first one and already like 4 deep. It's like, okay, wait a second. Let's go back to one real quick. Mm-hmm. You haven't even finished that one yet. Like that's kind of like where I draw the line. Like if someone is like 3 or 4 Kickstarters deep and haven't fulfilled the first one, that's like, no go. But I am very, very patient with a lot of these people. Like there are certain creators. It's been 3 years now, 4 years, going on 4 years, haven't gotten the book yet. So, but I'm still back them because I believe in them, I trust them, and I love their work. But I guess it's the amount of projects they have going on Kickstarter for me.
I would tend to agree with Drew on that. I think that you should be delivering books that you promised before you're moving on to your next book. That's bothersome for me. I mean, and there's a little bit more leeway with, like, they say, take a guy like your boy Zaxx, who is writing the books and he has different art teams working on it. That's a little bit different than like a guy to me who's like, doing the art and drawing. It's like, don't jump to the next thing. I'll tell you where I will never back somebody's book is if they put out a book, they don't fulfill it, and then I see them doing mainstream work. Because what that tells me is you spent all the money, you took all the money out, you basically grabbed it and ran. You spent all the money, you're never going to finish that book because you don't have the money, and you're having to take mainstream work because you don't have. Ooh. That's a big. So your what's some of the names? Your B. Clay Moores, your Richard. What's his name?
I don't know if I know. I know. Was it Alex DeCampi who didn't provide on her book?
Well, I would just never order an Alex DeCampi book because I find her unpleasant. But I tend to not buy books from people that are part of the Whisper Network. I will avoid them at all costs. They do not get any of my money ever. I only ever have one book that I'm still waiting on delivery. Aside from that, like, is really late, which is it was like Tales of the Bermuda Triangle or something like that. Had a really like kind of Venture Brothers style. I mentioned it on Twitter that it was the one book that I didn't think I was ever going to get, and the creator responded and said, "Hey, I just sent out an update." I appreciated that. I think that communication is key. Like, putting out an update like this, saying like, "Hey, I know the book is late. Here's the stuff that's going on." I tend to be very compassionate about that. Sure. This guy saying it is late already, get the F out of my mentions, you dork. It's like, you didn't need to do that. And Joe responded with fire. I probably wouldn't have responded the way that Joe did, but if you're going through a family situation and then somebody comes at you like this, I can completely understand losing it as well. Like, just losing it on somebody. So no harm, no foul to Joe here, but I might have said He's absolutely right about being transparent about everything.
So yeah, I think the context was they were having a back and forth before this, so they were already talking. So
okay, yeah. See, so that's I only saw the reaction.
Yeah. So he was kind of egging him on, and kind of giving him a hard time, and saying, "Oh, my books are never late. Why are your books late?" That kind of.
Who is this guy whose books are never late? Or his books any good?
Kevin Strange. Welcome to the Strangeville.
Outlaw Comics, Bizarre Fiction. Yeah, I don't know his stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
But if that's the art, that's an easier style than. Okay, well, is that one of his books? Like the Chicago, like this like very indie-rific kind of.
Yeah.
Front cover of my graphic novel memoir about being crazy, 19, starving, and homeless on the streets of Chicago. Yeah, I guess. Oh no, that's Glenhead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. So I mean, I think I agree with you guys in terms of as long as there is solid communication on the book, I don't find anything wrong with it being a little bit late. I think at one point though here, Joe had talked about, maybe even Clayton had talked about, like if the book is like 5 years behind or something, if you don't get your book for 5 years. For me, 5 years is excessive. At that point, I don't even want it. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, even 3, I would say, is like you've had plenty of time.
Yeah, and also, even if it's like $25, say I pledge $25, shipping is maybe another 10 or something, so 35 total, and we've waited 3 years to get a book, and then I get the book and I go, oh, that was okay. You know what I mean? It's like if we're waiting 3 years. You know what I mean? It's not the $35 necessary. It's the fact that like this book should be fucking immaculate for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I should, if I'm waiting on a book for 3 to 5 years, I should open it and be like, I can reread this for the next decade, right? Now Clayton and his brother, the Barton brothers, their illustrations you can look at for hours and get your money's worth. So that I understand. But yeah, there's some books out there that I read them and I go like, so I waited for this, right? But for a lot of the creators, I like who they are and I have no problem supporting them and their book. So if it takes them a year, 2 years, 3 years to produce it, that's not too much of an issue for me because I know that they're going to produce quality content. My big concern and something that I think would be really cool is who's going to be the next indie publisher or the next indie crowdfunding guy to produce monthly or maybe bi-monthly or no, that'd be too much. Monthly comic books, right? Because we always get monthly floppies from Diamond, or we get it from our local comic shop. Who's going to be the guy who's like, I'm going to keep myself to a regular mainstream monthly schedule. I'm going to have an artist. I'm going to have, or maybe I'm going to write and I'm going to have someone else do the art or vice versa. And we're going to do a monthly comic book. Like that would change the industry. I feel like it would be something, because one book every 3 years is not really going to turn the tide. I feel like if you have a monthly book, what do you guys think?
I think the closest that we've got to that, model, it's not monthly, but someone who regularly keeps to a schedule and releases a certain amount of books in a certain time frame is Iconic Comics in Common America.
That's true.
I think that's the best example of that we have. And aside from that, Tim works a full-time job. And he's drawing that book,
wow.
And getting it out on time. I did
not know that. Wow.
Yeah, he's got a full-time job. He's married. He's got a family. It's like he's got responsibilities, and he still like gets that book out. So no matter what, because everybody's got opinions on everybody, in indie comics. No matter what you think, whether you love the guy or you don't like the guy, or whatever your position is, you cannot fault his work ethic at all.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
I haven't liked him. He's always been cool to me. So
yeah, wow. That's incredible to be releasing comic books. I can't even run a full-time YouTube channel where I'm producing videos every single week, and I work part-time and then do school. So like fact that he's doing full-time job, that's rad, man. Good for him.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing a full-time job, doing the Unholy Nightmare stuff and doing the other writing and all this stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not easy. There's no way, if I had a family, there's no way I'd be able to do this. I know that for a fact.
No.
I may be going back to a full-time job. So, it's like I'm going to do all the comics around it. So,
yeah.
It's just, it's one of those things. You gotta have the passion for it. And, it's really easy to kind of like lose your passion for it when you get all the money up front. I think, the money's already there. You're spending it. I think that like Lopresti talked on your show the other night about how he gets the money for the crowdfunding, and then he pays himself a salary, but he tries to live on as little as possible while he's doing the book. Yeah. And then once it's done and it's out to everybody, then whatever's left, can go roll into the next project and keep him going on that until he does the next crowdfund or whatever it is he needs it to do. But I think that that's the way that you have to approach it. Like, I think that ideally with, I'm sure Drew probably feels the same way about Unholy Nightmare as I do Kneel Before Doomface, is like, you want to come out and you want to have a good campaign at the beginning and hopefully make enough money to cover your cost for the next issue. Because I would much rather be in a position where instead of, we've got this many pages done, if you help us crowdfund it, we'll finish the rest of the book. I'd love to move away from that model at some point and be like, we've already done the book. It's just waiting to go to the printer. Here's the campaign. When the campaign ends, we got our numbers. It goes to the printer and it's out to you like in 30 days. Like just get that churn going. And we've already been working on the next book. Drew, what do you think? Is that kind of like how you would love to do Unholy Nightmare?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Aurelio and I agreed that we would have a set, firm like our page rate. And whatever's left, everything is going toward the production of the comic as well as the next one. We already said we agreed, like, okay, this is our rate. Everything's going to funding the next one, then the next ones. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even like on Kneel Before Doomface. No matter what I make, I'm not taking anything on it. Everything that I would make, it's like obviously Renzo needs to be paid, our creative team needs to be paid, and then whatever I would make on it would be I plan to roll into the next, funding the next book. So hopefully that when it launches, make enough to make that happen. But it's tougher if you're having to also live off of, as a writer. It's much easier for me than it is for Renzo. Renzo's got to be the one who's nose to the grindstone.
Well, I think I'm glad I got y'all's take on that, because I think the crowdfunding scene is super interesting, and even though we've been doing it for quite a few years now, well, I say I haven't, but we as a collective, comic book community, like individuals who think that the current mainstream books are not producing the fun, heroes and the great stories that we have loved all these years. And so we've kind of gone off and done our own thing, whether it's engaging with the art here on YouTube or engaging with the art by creating our own stuff, like you have done, Aaron and Drew. It's just such an interesting network, right? And I'm not really sure, Eric, Ethan was probably the first one to really have a crowdfunding campaign that just blew the tits off of everyone, right? And then Richard came onto the scene, and he may have even been before Ethan. And then you had,
I think that first Jawbreakers was before Ethan did. Yeah. And then that's kind of what proved to Ethan. I think that I don't want to speak for Ethan, but I think that just if I had to guess, I would say that that's probably where he realized that this is something viable that could be done.
Yeah. And then later, now granted, Eric wouldn't say that his books are crowdfunded, right? Because he publishes and sells them after they've already been made. So you're not backing a book that could potentially be funded. These things have already been made on his dime, and now he is just distributing them, right?
Yeah, it's more like a pre-order with him.
Sure, yeah.
Same with Common America. Yeah, it's more like a pre-order than a...
Yeah. And then the Common America guys they put stuff up on their website. So even if the crowdfunding campaign ends, you can still find back issues of Common America on their website and stuff like that. So I find the crowdfunding scene very interesting. I still think that it has room to grow. I still think that there are going to be some really cool evolutionary like strides with it. Like I really think that we're still not even still not even really seen its full potential. So I'm looking forward to what it brings. But I just thought it was an interesting conversation. Like, are people willing to wait 5 years for a book? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. That's a
little too long for me. Like, okay, you've got to be an Art Adams. Like, if Art Adams took 5 years to bring me a book, I know that book is going to be, mwah.
But the funny thing is, Art Adams did do an art book, and I backed it, and within a few months, maybe 3 months, I had it in my hand. So it's like he's like, we're talking legend in the industry. Been in the industry for decades, and he's getting books out. Granted, they are, just, it's not a story or anything, but they're beautiful books, hardbound. He had some sketches in there. He signed all his books. Like, it was, I would back anything again from him, and it was a good price, So David Finch has a new book that he's crowdfunding, the Marvel art of David Finch, and then I think they'll do another one, the DC art of David Finch. So there's some really cool books out there from top name talent that are like, I'm not doing anything mainstream, so might as well, start selling my own books out here.
Why would you? You can make so much more not doing mainstream stuff.
Right. And it goes straight to their pocket. From their hard-earned,
no middleman, no company taking a cut, no distributor taking a cut, no, like, it's just unfortunately it's not great for the brick and mortar stores. I think that as things continue to evolve, it would be great if someone figured out a system to where there could be more support for the brick and mortar stores and bringing people in. I think that a lot of the Common America stuff gets reprinted by Antarctic and then goes out to or at least it did. I don't know if it still does. So I think that's good. When James Silvani and I were pitching for the Disney license before it went to Dynamite, part of our pitch was the way that we wanted to construct it was we wanted to do a pre-order. We're going to do the whole book, and then we're going to put it up on crowdfunding. We're going to, sell it to everybody, and then it's going to get broken up into individual issues that will go out to shops so that we can also support shops. And then we had a whole plan built in of like, we were going to do like alternative versions where they were like, on the cheaper paper. So that, like Alterna does the $1.50, $2 books on the cheaper paper so that they keep the cost down. We wanted to do a line of those that we could send out to children's hospitals and pediatricians' offices for nothing. Cool. So that we could give something back. But that wasn't as appealing, I guess, as what Dynamite brought to the table, which was, some stories with 87 covers on them.
Oh God. No, who would want to, help a children's hospital or have divorce sentenced by all your,
I mean, maybe if we would have said like, we'll send them, free to a neighboring village to a concentration camp, maybe we would have got more.
What they would have loved that. Yeah. What we really love here on this channel is our very own Steph, My Nerdy Home. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Steph.
How was your stream?
It went really well. Thank you. I had a lot
Good.
of fun. Yeah. We streamed on a different day because we weren't able to stream yesterday. We don't stream. Saturdays is usually when I stream, but if we don't get to it, then we, or if we're not able to do it, then we move it to Sunday. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I got the pleasure of hanging out with you this morning, so I feel bad that I'm stealing you again.
I know,
but I also
my time.
I know. I also feel bad because I stole two things from you that we're going to talk about tonight. We already talked about this one because I saw you guys talking about this. You and Mara actually had some great things to say, but. This one hits home because I was saying that this is, here in our backyard. This is here in California.
It is there. Yeah, it's right where you're at.
Yeah. But
and
the
big
other
action figure.
First, Toy Aisles will never be the same again.
So stupid. One of the things I said, Steph, was I said, like, wait a minute. I thought that gender was just a social construct. So why do we need to change anything? They're already not gendered because gender doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, it's a social construct. So I don't understand. It's very hypocritical of them, isn't it? It's almost as if they're making shit up.
Yeah, it's almost like there's no logic to the argument whatsoever.
Seems very bigoted of California. No, I'm kidding.
Now, are the shelves behind you with your action figure collection, are those gender neutral? Are those meeting the requirements? Or you don't have to because you're in an actual free state?
It's a base room.
These ones?
It's a base room. They don't have to meet any requirements.
I know. I want to look at all those figures.
It looks like they're all just Batman, which is great.
It is, yeah. Let's see. This shelf up here, this one, it's all Batman. There's a shelf above that's Batman too. Then the shelf above this one is Nintendo. And this one is supposed to be Harry Potter, but there's some Batman mixed in there too.
The crossover we need.
Yeah. So, Drew, I hate to do this to you, my man, but our lady Steph, I think she needs to be up here.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. So, Steph, speaking of which, you had posted something I stole from you as well this week. You had posted this video, and here I'm gonna have to share it as a tab so I can share the audio. How did you find this? What was this sent to you, or was this something that like you just came across?
No, it popped up. It when I was scrolling Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, it popped up.
What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was, "Oh, this guy again," because
you've seen him before.
Yeah,
this fucking guy.
Me and this guy have gone back and forth already before, and now he's back. I can't remember what we went back and forth on like the first time on Twitter. I think it was something else that had to do with like a woman. I honestly can't remember, but yeah. But me and him went back and forth for a little while. Another time. And I wrecked him. Like I just wrecked him.
Well, of course you did.
I was gonna say,
but he's a male feminist. It's like our favorite type of men, right? The male feminist, the one that likes to speak on behalf of all women,
and then argue with you, and you as an actual woman.
Exactly. Yeah. And to put me in my place as a woman with an opinion about this woman directing Star Wars. So yeah, that's. What he said, the way he says it too, it's just pure. You can play it.
Yeah, we'll play it here. It's super cringe because, so to me, this feels like projection because he's doing the internet macho man thing, which is really it screams insecurity, right? I'm pretty secure with my masculinity, and that's totally fine. I don't need to tell my viewers to like. You know what? Let's see what he says because he has a plan for all of those people that are watching him right now and all the men that are watching and that are quote unquote upset about Charmin, which is the new Star Wars director.
I swear to God, men, reach down into your pants, find your fucking balls and your cock, and be okay with it. We can.
Oh, thanks, John. So if you guys watch Star Wars Theory's video on this, he actually did something pretty funny where he like pretended like he was like, let me see. Okay, yep, there they are. It's like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Still think that this director's a clown?
Yeah. Still think.
Do I need to like roll him around like an executive desk toy? Will that help? Or no, still feel the same way.
So let's see what else he has to say.
We can take a woman directing a film in Star Wars and live. We're all gonna fucking survive. I swear to God, you guys want to come off like you're tough motherfuckers, and you're a bunch of wusses. Finally, a woman gets to direct a theatrical feature in Star Wars way with other women leading the way.
Oh, no, finally.
It's about time.
Finally, a woman.
Choice. This is made for me. It's so funny. Like when I said like I could care less. Like I quote tweeted it and I was like, as a woman, like I just want someone who has the experience and the love of a franchise. Like that's what I want. Like what he said is pure cringe. I don't care if it's a man or a woman directing Star Wars, as long as they have the experience and love of the franchise, because that's really what's missing today. They're just hiring nothing but activists who want to self-insert themselves into whatever they're doing, and it's ruining it. It's ruining every single franchise that they're doing it to. That's why comics are dead. That's why
Patty
Star Wars
Jenkins.
is dead. That's why the MCU is going downhill. Like that's why it's ruining things. And just the fact that they're a woman and oh my gosh, finally a woman is taking charge, directing this movie that's starring a woman, directed by a woman. Finally, give me a break. I don't care. I don't care about that. I could care less. The woman, like their gender is the last thing on my mind. Yeah. What is your experience with Star Wars? Like, what is your experience growing up with Star Wars? Do you love Star Wars? Do you follow? Did you watch Star Wars? Did you read any novels about Star Wars? Do you actually like Star Wars? Or are you just coming to this project because it's on a bigger platform than you are normally used to, and you can use it to spread your feminist messaging? Like, that's what I want to know.
Did you see where they asked her? Did you see where they asked her like what it is that she liked about Star Wars? It was the most like Bart Simpson book report version of people who are struggling with things and overcoming them, and it was just like it was clear she had no idea what she was talking about. She's never directed a feature film. Nobody had a problem when they announced Patty Jenkins for Rogue Squadron. You know, we had no problem with the fact that Patty Jenkins was a female director that was going to do a Star Wars film. The fact is, you've just put an activist with no feature film, didn't even go to film school.
No, she didn't go to film school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no feature film qualifications. That's who you've put in charge. That's what people have a problem with. And people had a problem with her coming out and making that same tired statement about finally a woman, You know what would get me excited? If they said finally a competent writer director who knows Star Wars and is passionate about it is going to be taking on a Disney Star Wars film. Exactly. I'd be like, holy shit, finally.
Finally. That's actually a finally.
Holy crap, this is so out of pocket for Lucasfilm. Really? Yeah. You're actually going to get someone who likes Star Wars to do a Star Wars project? Whoa. Okay. But no, she introduces herself like, I'm an activist first.
Yes.
Like that is how she introduces herself. I'm an activist. Yeah. Like, and that's what it is. So, okay, you're an activist first and everything else comes later. So if you're going to take on a Star Wars project, you're going to do it from the lens of an activist. That's what we're going to be received. That's what we're going to get. Has nothing. I don't care if she's a man or a woman, right? If you don't have the love of the franchise, like I said this earlier on my stream, if you don't have a love of Star Wars, then you get something that will cause division in the Star Wars fan base, which is what Rian Johnson did. He came in wanting to stir the pot, make his own movie. You know, he likes making movies that will stir the pot, that will cause division. And that's what he did. That's what he did in The Last Jedi. People had so many problems with The Last Jedi. It wasn't because Rian Johnson was a man. It's because of what he did in the movie. Right. Like, it had nothing to do with his body parts, but it was everything to do with like how he wrote the story, how he went forward with the story, all of the terrible decisions that he made in this movie, the fact that he went after the fans. Like, that's what people had a problem with. Had nothing to do with his genitals. Didn't have anything to do with the fact that he's a man.
Well, that's what's crazy about Charmine, is that she's the one making this about, I'm the first female, or I'm the woman director. It's her, me. It's super self-indulgent and narcissistic.
No gratitude, nothing.
No gratitude, when in all actuality, the conversation that should be had is, I am so grateful that I get the opportunity to be on George Lucas's Star Wars, that I get the opportunity, or I'm so grateful for this project because I get the pleasure and the honor of working with all these people, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's how she is a woman and how she's going to make men uncomfortable and how she's an activist. And so
right. Well, that's how all of these activists, that's their mindset, right? They put themselves.
They're not humble.
No, they're not humble because they have put themselves on a pedestal. Look at what I'm doing to better whatever their cause is. Right. Look at what are you doing to better this cause? You're not doing anything. Look at how I'm succeeding with how I'm, bringing awareness to these things. They put themselves on a pedestal. So obviously they're going to have that type of a mindset to where they're like, I'm so happy. I'm the first woman that's going to take this into a direction that I want to take it in. Like, of course she has that type of a mindset. They all do. All of the activists first, they put themselves on a pedestal.
What's pretty funny though is that, and I'll pose this question to the chat and to the panel. Do you think that John is maliciously being disingenuous, or do you think he just really is that dumb? because he here is saying, finally, guys, finally, we're getting a female director of color. Is he forgetting?
He really is just dumb. Max, I've been listening to this guy. I've been following him on Collider for like over a decade. He is just dumb. This is him. He has not changed at all. So yeah, I'll tell you that for a fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as we all know, Max, male feminist is both a description and a warning. So, I mean, look at him. His hot take and his reach down and find your balls. This is a guy who would never say that to you if he ran into you at a convention. He would never talk like that to anybody. If you were wearing a shirt with Ray on it that said Disney Star Wars sucks, he would have nothing to say to you. He would not confront it at all. It's all show. It's all for points. This is why you get, when guys like this do this sort of thing, they get responses that are like, I hope she sees this, bro. It's like, it's just the most performative, I'm a good guy. I'm on the right side of history. And I'm going to use a straw man argument about how you guys just hate women because I cannot possibly defend the fact that somebody with no feature film experience is potentially being handed $200 million plus to do a Star Wars film.
That's what's so wild to me, though, is like this someone who is, because in my opinion, I think it would be worse if he's trying to be malicious here. Because if he's trying to be disingenuous, he knows that Marsha Lucas was one of the biggest portions of why Star Wars was created. He knows that Deborah Chow, or whatever her name was, directed all of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even though that show sucked, it doesn't negate the fact that she is a woman of color who directed that entire thing. It also negates the fact that Bryce Dallas Howard directed some of the episodes of Mandalorian. It also negates the fact that Kathleen Kennedy is fully leading the entirety of Lucasfilm.
And so has been since 2012.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So if he's being disingenuous, it's a fucking loser move on both ends. You're either dumb or you're disingenuous. And I'm not sure which one is worse. I think disingenuous is worse. But we all know, like you said, Aaron, the whole male feminist thing. Listen, you're not going to get laid, dude. No one's coming to, come have sex with you. I'm sorry. Like, she's not going to see this, bro.
I think that him saying things like this, he knows that he's going to get a response, right? So I think like him saying things like this is both what he believes, but also a little bit disingenuous because of the way he's saying it.
Yeah.
He's like, all of you guys grab your balls and whatever, the way he's saying it. He knows it's going to get clipped and put out there. So he's going to have to stand behind what he's saying because I honestly think that, yes, he does believe this shit that he spews. He really, really does.
Yeah.
If you guys can go back and watch him during the days like The Last Jedi, even before that, you'd be like, God, this guy's a tool. It just...
Well, I mean, he's part of Collider. Like, what do you expect? That's the whole,
I loved what Gary said. I think, Steph, did he comment to you, or maybe it was Anna, but someone had posted, the video, and Gary just commented, careful, he's an outlaw. Because it's something like the Outlaw podcast or something, or the Outlaw show.
The Outlaw, he's such an outlaw, parroting every corporate take possible.
I know.
So punk.
Yeah. He's so punk rock. Like he's such a shill.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Isn't it also a little demeaning that having having cock balls would make you a certain gender, right? I didn't think that's what that seems pretty close-minded, John. So I don't know why you're saying like, be a man by grabbing your cock and balls. Like, it's a little close-minded, but hey, to each their word, or to each their own. We do have a super chat from Dylan Lindsay for $5. Thank you so much, brother. He says, even if she was an amazing director, I don't think Disney would allow her to make a good movie. They will mandate and note the film into the ground. That's actually a really, really good point. I mean, look at Black Widow and the director for Black Widow when she said, all right, here's how we're going to do the action. And Disney had already mandated, oh no, we've already filmed that. We've already got that covered. So you're essentially, stripping the director of their creative vision to fit the cookie cutter blueprint of whatever the corporatized version of this looks like.
Well, remember, Max, the reason that the Marvels
say that too. It was the one for. It was another Disney director. She said that like she was just
Shang-Chi?
Like, yeah, it was a girl. She was just like the name on it that like they.
Eternals.
The Eternals, right? Okay, Eternals. Thank you. Yeah, it was another. It was her. Like she also said that the same type of thing. Like, well, they already knew where they were going. I just pretty much had to follow it. Right. Like they already had it mapped out, and I just had to do what I did. Like it was. She didn't have any like creative control or anything like that. She was just there to sort of like babysit and do what they wanted.
She was the diversity shield.
Yeah.
So that they could, if it didn't work out, they have that shield to, for criticism. And I think that, Max, the reason that the Marvels was such a failure, biggest failure that, in Disney history, apparently, from what I'm reading. The reason it was such a failure is because there just weren't enough Disney executives on the set. They hired this
supervised.
They hired this stunning and brave woman of color to direct it, but there weren't enough white men standing there telling her what needed to be done. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. You're using these people, you're not letting them come in with any kind of creative vision. You're not letting them come in, and try anything. There's nothing experimental about these. This is not cinema. Scorsese was absolutely right. This is not cinema. This is not art. This is corporate product. And it's the more successful it got, the more corporate product it became. And I just don't see, I don't see it course correcting anytime soon.
The fact that they're still blaming COVID too. Oh, because of COVID restrictions.
Dude.
Supervise her. Like,
Steph, the War of 1812 really affected our our shooting schedule.
That's so it's such a, oh my gosh, I don't even know.
That's Y2K. What's the deal?
It's like everything they can think of, deflect. They're trying to think of everything that they can try and blame other than just, we're not doing the things we need to do. We're not telling a good story first.
Well, it was a leap year, so there is that
right now, right? They're like, well, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was like released from prison, and then like there were aliens in Miami, and our directors, they just couldn't do it.
Aliens in Miami.
They were worried that like there are aliens in Miami.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're getting specific now. We're not just going, the macro and economic headwinds that we've been experiencing, the solar wind of the economy.
I legitimately, there was someone who came into one of my film classes last semester, and they were like, January 6th just hit me so hard. And I was like, it's 2023. You're lecturing us about how you couldn't film anything because January 6th, like, come on. Oh my God. I actually had to audibly like chuckle. I don't think they appreciated that, but hopefully I got a good grade.
Louis C.K. has a bit where he talks about just how soft and stupid everybody is about anything. And then he talks about Nixon and he goes, we watched the president of the United States weep on television like a baby and then get into a helicopter and just fly away. And he does the whole like copter noise, like, and just like watches it go. And then he's like, we had no idea what came after that.
Oh my God. Very true.
To put things in perspective.
Yeah. Well, all that being said, thank you, Dylan, for the $5. Greatly appreciate it. And I am inclined to agree with you. Even if Charmin was an amazing director and had all the passion in the world for Star Wars, and this is like something that she had pitched to Disney Lucasfilm, I still don't even know if they would produce the thing that she would potentially want, because I know that there are women out there that are like, I have a story for Star Wars that I think would be incredible. There are women out there in the Warhammer community that are like, I see them every day on Twitter that are like, hey, Warhammer is inherently a masculine hobby, and it needs to have roots in its masculine traits of brotherhood and sacrifice and honor and duty. Like, that's what the Imperium represents.
Sounds
so
pretty
I
toxic,
know that,
Max. Not gonna lie, that's pretty toxic.
to be fair, Space Marines are pretty toxic. So yeah, I mean, just I know there are people out there that are passionate about Star Wars, whether you are male or female. And to your point, Steph, Aaron, Drew, it doesn't matter what your effing gender is. The biggest part that people want and the biggest part that people get upset about is if are you the right person for the job? And Charmine is obviously not that. Not only is she not the right person for the job, but she's actually going to be toxic for the fandom and for the position that she's in and for the fans. She is going to create division where there doesn't need to be any. And it's people like John Roca who create more of that division because they want to have the correct take, So
there's going to be a change. I guarantee. Sorry, real quick. There's going to be a change. I'm guaranteeing it right now. Before they start filming or whatever, there will be a change. I don't know what the change will be. Something drastic is going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. That's what I'm calling right now.
I think so.
Yeah,
like this movie may never come. This movie may never see the light of day. But for all of our YouTube sakes, I hope that it does. I'm at the point now where I just want to watch the Disney World burn. Just every poor decision that they make, I'm like, it's like I'm so past the concept that they can right the ship that now I'm just like, well, might as well watch it go down. And it's unfortunate because as somebody who has loved Star Wars my whole life, who has loved Disney my whole life, it's like I just can't, there's one of two things needs to happen. Either I get to watch it burn and I get to eat popcorn while I do it, while they sink the ship, or maybe Nelson Peltz gets in there and they get Bob Iger out of there, and that board turns around and they pivot back towards profit. I'm happy with either outcome, but it's
even if Nelson Peltz does get in there and they do a pivot, it would still take a long time. It would need to be like some drastic changes that would happen before that actually. Before that pivot happens.
It's a big ship. It can't pivot. It has to sail, and it has to do a slow turn, because all these things are so far in advance in production, and you would have to root out so many activists within the company, and that's not a short process. And that's why I think it's far more likely that we'll watch it burn. But that's okay, because we'll just keep producing alternative content for people. We'll tell stories, and and there'll be people that'll rise up and make cinema, and and then we'll all get to sit here and talk about it on YouTube and have a good time with the chat.
Hey, I get a good laugh, so that's good. I will say, to Drew's point, because Drew, I think you were saying, you think there may be a something big that will happen. There's going to, show like a stark difference. The only reason why I have a little bit different mindset is because I think that they're doubling down. Now, if they double down and people hate it and there's a huge backlash, and that's the thing that ignites that big moment, maybe that could happen. But what I see all of these companies doubling down. On Friday Night Tights, we saw that not only will the Oscars have these different formats of how people are going to be winning awards or how your film has to be made, but now the writer's room is mandated diversity with illegal documents of how you are separated into different races or disabilities or disorders or whatever it is, which is legal mindset said.
How is that legal?
Is actually
how in God's name is that
highly illegal?
Yeah,
incredibly personal information.
Oh yeah,
especially if you're going to, disabilities. I mean, unless they're out there disabilities that you can see, but to segregate people, because that's pretty much what they're doing. If they're going to be doing that's segregation, seriously,
it's wild. Because like I said, I don't know if maybe something like that, if that hits the public span of of fans and stuff, if that gets shared by Elon Musk and has a lot of eyes on it, I wonder if there will be a backlash. I wonder if there will be a moment where people are just
I don't think there will be, because they're pushing for segregation and they're calling it safe spaces.
Right. Yeah.
So they already are like in that mindset, but in their mind, it's okay because it's our safe space. You can't come over here. This whole like area, this room is only for minorities, or it's only for these types of people. Okay, everybody else excluded. You can't come in. This is our safe space. When in reality, you're creating that segregation. That's what you're pushing for.
Everything comes back into fashion eventually, right? Like parachute pants, the pet rock, segregation. Good job, everybody. All these evils that we defeated in our history, and now we're gonna bring them back with new branding. Great job.
And embrace them. Yes, warmly.
Yeah. So here's the form in question that they were talking about on Friday. So this is advanced search and criteria: writer's background, sexual identity, heterosexual, LGBTQ+, asexual, bisexual, pansexual, gay, lesbian, queer, unspecified. Then you go to age group, and then you get into ethnicity. And my God, I don't think they left one single one out of here.
Oh,
how are they not open to a lawsuit?
Why is that an X there in the spot where the word Latino should be?
Oh, yeah, Steph, you out of everyone should know that this is Latina or Latino, not Latinx.
I love that white college girls are telling an entire culture how their language should be gendered. That's fantastic. That seems so respectful.
I love it.
Yeah, how fun.
It's
just wait till you guys
like the male feminists telling women how they should feel about something.
Well, that's right.
Absolutely.
You Geeky Sparkles on Clownfish TV. Okay? That's right.
As a Latina woman, I can't think for myself, and I need all of these saviors to come and help me.
That's right. Well, you have internalized misogyny, which means that which the definition of which is any sort of independent thought from the hive mind is what internalized misogyny is, and probably internalized racism and just a bunch of ists and phobes in your thinking, and you need to be re-educated.
I've been told I had all of that.
Yeah, you need to be re-educated by dipshit here.
Yeah, right. Well, isn't it wild too? So, Steph, I don't know if you probably know our friend Josh. Josh, who's openly a gay man. He'll post on Twitter. He's like, I hate what this community is doing, and he will get massive amounts of hate mail and death threats from people within the gay community saying you need to check your privilege and you are you have internalized homophobia and all of this bullshit.
Yeah,
and it's like,
tell them that you hate yourself, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah,
because
you hate yourself.
They hate,
you must hate
themselves, so they have to project that onto you.
Yeah,
and it's getting pretty bad, especially with So here's the gender identity. You can either go female, male, non-binary, transgender, trans feminine, trans masculine, or unspecified.
Where's trans species? Bigots.
I guess that would be unspecified.
I'm a unicorn dragon. Where's that? I need that specifically to be on there, or I am not represented. I don't feel seen. So it needs to be on there.
They're erasing you, Aaron. How does that feel that they're erasing you as a unicorn, dragon unicorn?
It feels like violence, Max.
It is violence.
And it's very silent how they're doing this. And as we all know, silence is violence.
Yeah. Now, of course, I would never, I think it goes without saying that every one of us here on the panel, every one of us here in chat, we're not laughing at the fact that people may have a mental disorder or may have some sort of, internalize something that is actually confusing them or that they have to go seek therapy or whatever it may be. That is actually something that is serious. And I urge those people to get help because I couldn't even imagine what that must feel like, right? But when you get people who are weaponizing kindness, that is what the issue is here. And that's what we have to laugh at. Because if they're weaponizing this type of empathy, it's completely counterintuitive to what they're actually trying to do, which is help people with actual disorders. And speaking of disorders, we see all these different disabilities, which we said earlier, I'm pretty sure I don't think you can mental disorder, limb difference, dwarfism, mobility disability.
Would limb difference be like you're not missing a limb, but like maybe you have like a truncated limb, or
like an imbalance?
You have an extra limb?
Oh.
Oh.
Well, maybe. I mean, if you're that well endowed, maybe
you have somebody else. You have somebody else's limb.
It would be classified as an extra limb.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, this is really weird.
I don't know. Blind or low vision, cognitive disorder, deaf or hard of hearing. Oh, cognitive disorder. Is that what? Do you guys remember that TikTok of the woman who said that she was like time sensitive, where like she had PTSD from like being on time or something?
What?
So maybe that could be cognitive disorder.
You're joking, Max.
No, I should.
No, this is real.
Be on time to something all the time, and it gave her PTSD.
You gotta be
punctuality. Punctuality, Drew, is one of the many tools of white supremacy.
That is very true. Yes.
Oh, yes, that's actually very
true.
Yeah. There have been articles about that. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
oh God.
That's why Gary's so late all the time to his streams, because he doesn't want to perpetuate white supremacy.
That's right. That's right. He's being inclusive.
Yes. Oh man. But yeah, so this is super illegal, and it's just it's immoral, and it's disgusting that people are now.
What is this for? And
determining
is this
worth.
like to get hired? I don't. What is this sheet specifically for?
So this is, from my understanding, and I think Chris Gore has a better understanding of this, because I think this is where the FNT crew got it from. But I think this is how people are going to find individuals for the writers' room. How writers are going to be hired onto Hollywood projects, because you have experience here, you have writer search filters, and then you have writer's background. So this looks like a format, or like a search criteria.
They're looking for a writer. So let's say they want to find somebody who is a gay, disabled, Black person. That is how they would find that person.
Yep. You could mark down every one of these, or be as specific as you possibly could want. And so like if I were really manipulative and I wanted to pat myself on the back and jerk myself off as, whoever's in Hollywood right now, I would try and find someone who, like, so that I could say, I hired the first this, right? And you could search that through this program, through this search criteria.
That is incredibly illegal.
It's not only that, it's dehumanizing.
It's very that's why it's illegal.
Yeah.
That's exactly why it's illegal. Wow.
This will not hold up, but this will also, if this takes a long time to move through the courts, this is the death of Hollywood. This is the death of entertainment from Hollywood. And maybe we're better off at this point. Maybe Max, we will avoid your greatest fear that Warhammer will be desecrated by Amazon and Jennifer Salke. But this is, my God, this is the death knell of Hollywood. This is the death knell of creativity.
Well, I can see so many lawsuits coming from just that.
I hope so. Like, I hope
that came from the strikes.
I believe so. I think. Which is, it's like, good job, Hollywood. You just put your industry 6 months behind schedule, and you've now created something that is potentially going to get you more lawsuits. So, and
crazy. they've destroyed so many jobs with the strike, because now there's so much less work. Yeah.
This is psychotic. You nailed it. This is what I was thinking of. It wasn't PTSD. It was called time blindness. So, Drew, I think the TikTok was that she couldn't be on time because she is unable to tell time, and that if someone were to tell her you're late, she gets like anxiety from not being able to read time.
I'm doing everything I can I'm sucking in all of my rage right now after reading that. I'm thinking all of my self-control to not lose it right now reading that shit. It's just,
I suffer from time blindness.
Yeah.
I'm always late to everything.
I have the inability to have self-discipline in any way whatsoever.
Right.
but I should be able to keep my job.
Yes, right.
So real quick, I got a little segue into my personal life real quick. So when I was in active duty in the Air Force, I was a staff sergeant, and I had an airman.
Oh, you're ex Air Force. I can see why that would be so upsetting to you.
If you're on time, you're late.
Yes, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time.
Yeah, my dad drilled into our head. My dad was in the Navy, and he drilled into our heads. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're a half hour late.
Yes.
Yeah. And so real quick, I got the airman kicked out of the Air Force because she was repetitively late, among other things. So, yeah, I'm kind of a stickler for time. When I see shit like that, it pisses me off.
You bigot! You did not take into account her time blindness. You son of a bitch!
Come on, Drew. God,
Drew, you are history's greatest monster.
Yeah. I can't work with you, Drew. This is so. I can't believe.
I apologize to everyone who has time blindness. Please don't cancel me. Please, I'll go someplace special.
All one of you out there that has.
So wait. So could I then claim that I have pronoun blindness? I can't.
No, because that's bigoted.
I can't. But it's a disorder. It's my disability, Max.
No, because time is created by a patriarchal system, whereas pronouns have been created by an inclusive, more divergent and diverse.
But the nature of more inclusive. The nature of my disability. You're not including my disability.
That's your problem.
Yeah, that's that.
I have give a shit blindness.
Yeah. I wonder what happens when they run into these.
You know what they tell you? By your skin color alone, you have more privilege than some of these other people.
Yeah,
you can't understand.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my childhood. Let's talk about all the privilege of my childhood. Max knows a little bit of my backstory.
Yeah. I just realized, the movie Soul Man with C. Thomas Howell is more relevant now than ever. I just realized that when he. I don't know if you guys ever seen that where he takes like it's medication and like because the side effect, his skin turns black and he's like in Harvard. Yeah, it's like that movie is something much more relevant now than it ever has been.
Yeah, he gets so he gets in like there's things that and he ends up like dating Ray Don Chong and things like that. And it's the sort of movie that would like set Twitter afire as soon as they find out about it. They'll be screaming about how racist it is. But the interesting thing is at the end, there is a really poignant moment where James Earl Jones is the professor and he says to C. Thomas Howell, because C. Thomas Howell's been found out and he's been expelled and everybody hates him and everything. And James Earl Jones tells him, the one thing that you learned that that I would never be able to teach you is the experience of what it is to be black. And C. Thomas Howell disagrees with him and says, no, I still don't know what that experience is, because if things ever got uncomfortable for me, I could take it off. And that's a very poignant, very progressive idea at the end of that movie. But that movie would still get hate because it was just the very surface of C. Thomas Howell wore blackface.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine that Justin Trudeau loves it. Just loves blackface.
Oh, no.
Just can't get enough of it.
Hey, no, our favorite talk show host, Jimmy Kimmel, who he also loves it too. He had that hilarious
Karl Malone and Oprah.
Yeah. So God, what an idiot. Jimmy Kimmel calling out Aaron Rodgers. That was so ridiculous. Anyway.
Embarrassed himself, just like Mark Ruffalo.
Jimmy Kimmel started it.
He did, yeah. Just like with Mark Ruffalo, like you said, yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel is a sleepy-eyed moron.
Just like so many other people we've covered on this show. Josh, for 18 months, my dude, you were crushing it. Almost 2 years. That is so rad. Thank you so much, Josh. Earlier on in the stream, I gave you a quick shout out. Nothing specific, and we won't get into it too much. But chat is praying for you and sending all their love, all their energy. Josh says, "Hail, gentlemen, sending you guys love. So happy and blessed to have quality friends like you guys. Also, per my contract, your like 250-page contract. I know, Josh. My replacements aren't supposed to be prettier than me. Hi, Steph."
Hi.
Josh,
I'm doing my best.
Here's the thing.
That's why you guys are in the upper tier, and Drew and I are down.
Yep. We're down the writer tier. Yeah, so we're belong.
Well, but behind every pretty face is a good writer, right? So, no. The thing here, Josh, is like you're our diversity on the show, but I was like, we need more. We need more diversity. What's more diverse than a female woman of color? Come on.
That's right. Yeah.
A Latina, big booty Latina is what's his name would say? Spicy. So
I asked a Latina out once, and on our first date, she made the joke that she said, I'm only going out with you so I can take advantage of, get in on some of that white privilege. And I said, oh, I'm so glad. I said, I'm so glad that you took the pressure off, because I only agreed to go out with you so I could punch Mexican on my not a racist card.
See, I'm dating one, guys. Oh my God, that's terrible. You're right. I forgot about Silverman's.
Silverman's blackface.
Yeah.
She also dressed up as Hitler.
Oh my God.
She did.
And then wasn't she in the video though of like the "We Are the World"? Like when they were all singing during.
Yes.
Oh, imagine all the people.
Yeah, imagine. Oh, yeah, in our $1 billion mansions. Just imagine, guys.
We're all in this together. I remember the Babylon Bee said. The Babylon Bee said, inspiring. Hollywood's millionaires line up their yachts to spell love in the harbor.
Oh my God.
Oh, inspiring. Oh, we love it so much.
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
Hail Zaxx.
Clip was so cringe. It was
I can't.
Like, tell me that you have absolutely no idea what regular people go through on a day-to-day basis.
No.
Like, you're so out of touch with reality. Get out of here.
Yeah,
they're all doing their Instagram videos with all the dudes have like beards. They're like, look, I can't even shave. I'm just like you.
Oh.
You're like,
yeah.
Smack all of you.
Zero self-awareness.
None.
Hail
like,
Zaxx,
oh my gosh,
great to see you.
the plebs are going to be so grateful that we put this video together for them. We're going to be so inspiring.
Yeah.
Like Mark Ruffalo going out to strike and wearing clothes that look dirty.
Clothes?
Yeah, let's put on his poor people clothes so that he can,
with you guys.
That's right. I'm here with you writers.
Yeah,
I'm here with you guys.
Took those clothes away from its gardener. Let's be real.
He took those from a movie set. That's where he got them from.
I actually, just going back to Jimmy Kimmel really quick. And speaking of gardener clothes, I actually met Jimmy Kimmel years and years ago because I went to pick up tickets that a girl I was seeing won at K-Rock. And so I went to pick him up, and Jimmy Kimmel was there and everything, and he was hungover. But as I was leaving, there was a gardener that was out front with a leaf blower. I don't know if he just like went to a thrift store to buy clothes and didn't read English and just thought this was a pretty shirt, but he had a pink shirt on with a very sparkly logo that said Daddy's Little Princess. And I was like, there's three options here. Either he doesn't know what that says and he thought the shirt was pretty. Number two, he lost a bet with his fellow gardeners. Mm-hmm. Or three, he is Daddy's Little Princess. And you know what? Either way, no matter which one it is, more power to him.
I wonder if like something happened to his shirt and he had to ask the owner.
That could be too. Yeah, okay, so there is a fourth option. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was the most surreal thing that at that point I was like, interesting.
That's so funny. Was it like one size too small?
It did look too small, yeah.
Oh man. Well, speaking of embarrassing moments, this is potentially one of the embarrassing, cringy tweets of 2024. I dare you guys to name a single thing you're more excited for than the new Avengers movie. It says
blue check mark. This is engagement farming.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, good thing we can engage with it on YouTube and not on Twitter.
Yep.
But do you guys have any thoughts about the new Avengers? I mean, we don't know if this is actually confirmed or not. They're doing the Young Avengers, which is, going to be all of the younger counterparts, Ironheart, Yelena Belova, Hawkeye's, what's her name?
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld, who I love, but like, do we really want, well, I want to watch a movie about Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. So, do you guys have any thoughts about if this is actually our Avengers team? What do you guys think about this lineup?
Look at that true equality. 5 men, 5 women. Right there.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
As all things should
be. I only see, the only man I see is Wang. And Paul Rudd.
You named him Wang specifically. Wong. You're making it even more manly, Max. Look at him. You're like, yeah, it's Wang. He's going to reach down. He's going to grab it.
If John has
the
taught us
original Avengers
everything,
team that everybody absolutely loved had only one woman, Black Widow, and how dare she use her, her feminine wilds.
So let's
my
see.
God.
We've got not Captain America. We've got Disney's biggest flop. We've got the world's biggest pussy. We've got somebody who cannot emote with their face to save their life. We've got Wong, who everybody loves. We got Paul Rudd, who everybody loves.
Yes.
We've got Evangeline Lilly, who I think we all love, but she's never been given anything to work with.
But they made her a useless plank of wood in
Quantumania. She said like 5 words.
She was useless in that movie.
And X-Ray Girl on FNT.
And we've got Wah Chicka Wah Wah.
Who is that? I don't know.
Awkwafina there.
I know that's Awkwafina, but like, who is she playing?
Marvel's
Katie. You don't know who Marvel's Katie is? Come on.
She's just a friend of. She's just a friend of the plank of wood next to her in the picture, Shang-Chi.
No, come on, Aaron. Give him more credit than that. He's stock photo plank of wood. Okay,
that's true. You put him and Tessa Thompson in the same movie, it could just be like it could be a movie about people with facial paralysis, or they got too much Botox, they cannot emote, and then finally the terrible CGI She-Hulk,
one of the most insufferable characters in MCU history.
I can't wait to see the CGI on the Hulk and She-Hulk in the movie.
Oof.
Because She-Hulk was already terrible, and I feel like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk character was like cut down.
Which
is probably good, because the more you make the Hulk Mark Ruffalo, the less I want to see anything. The only saving grace of him being Bruce Banner was that he turned into the Hulk, and you were like, oh, thank God, no more Mark Ruffalo. Now it's just a CGI Hulk. But once they made him,
Hulk, and you had to listen to him.
Ugh.
Vex is just excited that she gets to see She-Hulk twerk her enemies down in an Avengers film. Then Echo can sign stuff alongside her, and Cassie Lang can educate them on the page. Oh, stunning and brave. I mean, it's about time. Am I right, guys?
Maybe Charmine can come over and direct that.
I can't wait to see all of the lessons that all of these women are going to teach these men. All right, they're going to teach them so many lessons. They don't know what's coming.
And then
so many female monologues are going to happen.
How funny would it be if it's just 2 hours of them all arguing with each other, trying to see who's more disenfranchised than the other one? Yeah. That's all. Just 2 hours of just them yelling at each other.
Yeah. Or like have someone it'll come full circle and have Tessa Thompson look at Black Falcon Cap and go like, "You need to do better, Captain America." And then it'll be like,
"Oh my God,
he's not doing it."
I can honestly see that happening.
Yeah. But I mean, the only one that I have hope for is Paul Rudd. He steals the show in everything he does, even with a shit script and a terrible movie. I'm there for Paul Rudd. Now, of course, I'm not going to see this dumpster fire, but if there's anything good about this film, if this is in fact what we're to believe is the next Avengers, Paul Rudd will steal the show. I think Wong will probably be second in command in terms of like screen presence. But my question is like, where's Doctor Strange?
I actually I don't think Sorcerer Supreme. No. They already have one straight white male. Okay.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
A little bit too toxic. You can't have two. That's way too toxic. Right?
Yeah.
Can't.
You're right.
Nope. Too many. Only one straight white female and one straight white male allowed. Okay. Can't have two. That's why Dr. Strange is not there. But honestly, I feel like with what we're looking at and how Ant-Man was treated in his movie, Paul Rudd is going to get stomped on. Like, Ant-Man is going to get stomped on. He's not going to do anything. He's going to be learning lessons in this movie, just like he did in his movie. So they're going to shit on his character.
Is there any picture of Tessa Thompson where she doesn't look absolutely insufferable?
No, that's
just
not.
Smug and insufferable, and like Brie Larson looks more charming than her.
Actually, you're right. At least in this photo, yeah. But No, I like that. I like that Vex says that hopefully we'll get a scissoring scene between Tessa Thompson and Brie.
Ooh.
That's what we needed, right? That's why the Marvels failed, is because they cut that out right after the make her lame and gay South Park episode.
Scissor me timbers, yeah.
Oh
my
Cesar.
goodness. So no, but you're right, Steph. I mean, in Quantumania, they were like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Paul Rudd? Are you just writing your book, even though you saved the world?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did save the world." And they're like, "Save it, loser." They just totally shafted him and made him.
Yeah, they shit all over him. Like it was it's his idea to do the time travel thing. He helped, with the tech, the first run or test run. He helped with all of that. This is the whole saving the planet, going back in time. That was all Ant-Man. He really did save the world.
Scott saved
they weren't doing anything
multiverse
before he came back. It was him. Yeah. He saved the world, and they're shitting on him in his movie. I'm like, what are you doing? Why?
We all know you're not a hero unless you attack police officers. Then
that's right.
Yeah. Just like
hey, Janet. Hey, Hank. You guys sitting at the dinner table helping dipshit Cassie, who knows nothing. Make fun of Paul Rudd. You two that are sitting there. The reason that you're sitting there is because of Scott Lang.
Yeah, he brought you back.
That's right. Everybody you love that disappeared. Everybody in the world who disappeared. He's the reason that they're back. So put some goddamn respect on that name.
Yeah. But no, he's not helping with the housing crisis, okay? With the people living on the streets.
Well, I mean, look, not everybody can help with the housing crisis the way that Falcon Cap did with his great, advice about do better. Step up. No.
Step up, do better.
That's the problem, is we weren't stepping up.
Him, right? Because she was like upset because he wasn't like helping with like the homelessness after the blip. Isn't that why she was so upset?
Yeah, and Cassie was just Cassie is the embodiment of like the 12-year-old, 14-year-old Twitter activist who has like everything in their bio because they think that it's going to save the world, that they're making a difference, quote unquote. When in actuality, they're actually like, making less progress. They're actually hindering progress. But yeah, no, Cassie was an absolute. She's not only is she just a bad actor, but they wrote her terribly in that film. They had no idea how to write the character, and they all just decided to, what's funny? Like what would be comedically humorous in this moment? Let's just all shit on Scott Lang, the guy who saved the entire multiverse.
Yeah.
So
maybe Cassie should take her own advice and I don't know, not be a dick.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, actually, that's pretty good. Just don't be a dick, bro. Josh says, real question, what do y'all think of Marvel finally fully acknowledging Daredevil as canon? Have you guys now, Josh, are you saying that because Echo exists that Daredevil is officially MCU canon, or what do you mean? Because
did they recognize the Netflix show as canon?
Maybe
the Netflix show.
Oh, you know what? Maybe
for Josh, if they recognize the Daredevil show as canon, Josh is just standing over there with his beloved agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going,
yeah.
Guys, come on, man.
What about this? What's going on? Yeah.
The Netflix show. It is the Netflix show.
Okay. I mean, I almost don't want it to be canon. I'd rather see its own thing. Because now they're going to
build off the thing that I love and mess it up, just like they have Star Wars and the original, films of the MCU, and they're just going to shit all over it.
That's what they do, though, right? They just kind of cherry pick the things that the fans love, the things that the fans appreciate, which is the Daredevil show, which is an amazing show. The Netflix show is incredible. And so they're going to acknowledge it as canon and to appease the fans, but then they're going to take those characters, which they already have, right? They've already taken Daredevil and made him do the walk of shame in She-Hulk. They completely cut that character. Yeah. And then they took why can't I think of his name?
Any straight male character in the MCU?
The
Punisher?
bad in Echo, the one that
Kingpin.
Kingpin. God, they took Kingpin. They put him in Hawkeye. The Hawkeye show. Didn't they put him in the Hawkeye show?
Yeah.
Right. And he got cucked. I mean, he got taken down by a little girl, and now Daredevil is coming back in Echo.
He got hit by one of those. He got hit by one of those cars that's silent until it hits you.
And now like Echo's coming
it was
back.
a Tesla.
Echo's bringing both of those characters back, so they're cherry picking, but they have to acknowledge if they're going to cherry pick these characters, they have to acknowledge that show is now canon. But
does that mean Elodie Young is still Elektra?
Acknowledge that show is canon because that's going to lead into Daredevil Rebirth, right? They want that show to do good.
Oh, they're still doing.
They're still doing that.
They scrapped everything that they did. They did it already, Max. They did the whole show, and then they scrapped it, and now they're doing it over.
You know what? If anything, Disney Marvel needs to take a word of advice from their own writing team and do better. Like it's the cringiest thing ever, but do better. Why are you remake? I forgot that is actually a thing. Ugh.
Yeah.
Max, do you remember in Falcon and the Winter Soldier where the girl that burned people alive in a hotel building with an explosion and was killing people? Do you remember when Falcon said we got to stop calling them terrorists? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Freckle Jesus.
Yeah.
She's a martyr, Aaron. You know, she's
God.
just an activist. She's a rebellion leader. You know, she's really what we have to strive to be.
I've said it before, but that moment where she said to John Walker after killing his friend Lamar, or her group killing, she didn't specifically do it, but her group of terrorists did. She said, "It wasn't my intention to kill your friend. It's not my intention to kill anybody who doesn't matter." And when she said that, I was like, that is such the modern Twitter far left activist attitude about who matters and who doesn't. And at that moment, I was like, oh, John, take your modified shield and cut her head clean off. Like now I want it. Now I want to see it happen. I want you to throw that thing and just lop her head off, just faster, John Walker. Kill every one of them.
on a platter. Just take your Captain America shield, put the head on there, and just here you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is, it just speaks to, and I think, Drew, you've said this before on our Friday night shows, it speaks to the morality of Hollywood and the writers that are creating these things, because their morality is, we are the ones who are creating history. We are the ones who are determining what is right, what is wrong. And if you don't agree with us, we will kill you. You know, and if you are just a part of, like, what did she say, Aaron? It's like, if you're one of the people who gets killed, aimlessly, that's not my problem or something, to that effect.
Yeah, you're not one of the important people.
Right. So it's like,
matter. You're probably a Nazi anyway.
Right.
Look, and we saw it in. I remember, dude. I remember growing up as a kid, and you're reading about World War II, and you're reading about the Nazi Party, and you're like, I don't understand how this happened. I don't understand how an entire country full of people just stood by and let this happen and let another group of people be marched into camps and exterminated. And as a kid, you think to yourself, well, that could never happen again. That's because it happened in the past. And then you watch how easily people are manipulated into othering people and dividing them up and then wanting them marched off into camps because they wouldn't get a shot. They wouldn't get an experimental shot in their body. People were advocating for them to be put into camps or not be receiving medical care or just being left to die. How quickly that happened. And I went, oh, I get it. I get it now. I'm sadder for it that I now understand how quickly it happens.
Manipulation, the fear tactics, the fear mongering, the fear propaganda, like all of that, they scare people into submission.
Yeah, and the biggest tactic
go to the camp, and they'll use the people that are scared into submission to agree with them and advocate for those people to get put by themselves, like over there, because they didn't want to take the shot. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope as things continue to deteriorate, I hope that we at least all get put in the same gulag.
So we can all hang out and talk about how good Marvel used to be.
Max, tell us about war. Tell us about the Imperium.
Yeah. All right, gather around, children. Gather around. We have like a little fire. We're all in like disheveled clothing and stuff.
It's
Mark Ruffalo clothing from the strike.
Yeah.
We'll get his hand-me-downs.
The poor people clothes.
I got this from the costume director of the latest HBO film I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny what Aaron mentioned that one of the characters in Unholy Nightmare we wrote is going to be he's the Golem, but it turns out he's going to be like an 8-year-old boy, an 8-year-old Jewish boy, and we're going to be telling that story, Aaron and I. And
wow, yeah, that'll be impactful, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest tactics that they use, I think not just in Hollywood, not in culture, not in media, but just what we've seen in war is dehumanization. If you can divide human from subhuman, you can pretty much put those people in wherever you want them to be. And it's crazy that they are using those ideological and political tactics in fucking comic books and pop culture and superheroes. Like that's what we've seen for the past decade now is people, like you said, Aaron, othering. And Steph, you were talking about like segregating people. And that's what happens when you dehumanize them because they may think a little bit different than you. You know what I mean? Because they didn't like a Star Wars film, we are now going to make you subhuman. It's insane. And yet that's what we've seen. And that's what I honestly think we'll continue to see in 2024. Now, people are waking up, I think, but corporations will continue to double down because people are waking up. And
it's easier to cancel people if they don't look at them as people.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Yep.
Which is if you make somebody a monster, that's what the Nazi Party did to the Jews is they made them subhuman, and then it was like, well, they're monsters, and they're taking things from you, they're rotting our society, they're doing this, they're the monsters. So everything we do to them is completely justified, and that's that's how it starts.
It's terrible. It's horrifying, but that is the tactics of a lot of the individuals. A lot of the activists that we see currently, but I don't want to go down too much of a dark black hole stream or like a black pill stream because
I mean you're essentially talking about we're talking about real world, but we're also talking about how it relates to the X-Men because that's what the X-Men have been doing in the X-Men comics. They are now violent, hateful, racist, speciesist, segregationists.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was a oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They live on Orgy Island, Steph, and it's just an island of mutants. So they've separated themselves from the humans. Xavier's goal used to be, to bring groups together in peace, but now he's taken the more hard line when Magneto was a villain kind of stance, and all of the mutants live on this island, and they threaten the world with they have these pharmaceuticals that they grow that cure cancer and things like that and will extend people's lives, and if the rest of the world doesn't capitulate to their demands, they'll not only withhold these pharmaceuticals, but they will actually attack them. And so all of these noble characters that we've read about for decades that were about, the coming together of people and recognizing the inherent humanity of people that were different, they now are all on an island, and beautiful characters like Nightcrawler, even noble characters like, Wolverine, who has a nobility to them. They are all mutant, human-hating segregationists. And they're treated like the heroes because that's the way that these current writers think.
Yep. Yeah. It's Sodom and Gomorrah, pretty much, with mutants.
Wow.
I won't keep you for too much longer, Steph, and my co-host. I won't keep you guys as well because we are a little bit past 2 hours. But just to show our beautiful, lovely guests here this evening, if you guys also want to see our take on this on Friday night, you guys can do that as well. But and we'll, on Friday we went into it with much more detail. But yeah, this is essentially the new X-Men. You get a lot of basically the allegory here is that this Orcus group are a terrorist organization that are fascists and aligned with Trump supporting MAGA type individuals. They're always wearing red. What was the other thing? Colossus calls them fascists. Anyone who aligns with the red. You have Nightcrawler, cutting people's heads off and shit. Wolverine just slaughtering people.
And they're enjoying it.
Oh yeah, this is fun for them because they have dehumanized, like we talked about But this was.
I love that the artist didn't. They don't even know what they don't even know what Krakoa looks like anymore. Krakoa now looks like Groot.
It's just it's just amorphous tree. But this is a letter from Cyclops. This is at the end of the book, but it sounds like a 14-year-old Twitter activist. He says things like, "It's never too late to turn away from hate," or "I reject MAGA's jurisdiction over me. I resist." Once fascism kills mutants, who will be next? It's a lot of this rhetoric. So,
and bear in mind that they are a nation state that is threatening the rest of the world.
And bear in mind, so characters like Cyclops, who was on trial in Paris. What's that?
No, I was reading that I am a mutant. I am an X-Men. I belong here.
I belong here.
So these X-Men, they renounced their citizenship to their countries. So Cyclops, who was American, he's on trial in Paris, and he says, "Oh, I fall under the U.S. Constitution. I have my constitutional rights." Like, whoa, bullshit! No, you gave up.
Yeah, am I not protected? Yeah. Am I not protected by the Constitution? It's like, well, you renounce your citizenship and you're on trial in France, so no, you're not protected by the Constitution. That's not how you work. That's not how it works. But the writer is too dumb to know that.
These are simple. Dumb mistakes anyone could fix. Simple dumb mistakes. And
an editor that had a half a brain and read this script would go like, "Hey, you missed this."
You know what I forgot to say on Friday was Jerry Duggan, the same guy who wrote that comic, is the same one who wrote our beloved X-Men Green, where the global activist, Dear Girl, global activist, global warming activist kills, murders in cold blood the owner of a convenience store whose trash bag she found outside. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like she found it's like in a turtle's throat, I think is what it was. It was like a turtle choked on a trash bag from a convenience store chain. So she's justified in murdering the owner or just maybe even just the employee. It's been a while since I read it. Yeah.
These sound like sick fantasies. They do, sick activist fantasies. That's what this sounds like. Like, man, if I had it my way, I would do this. Let me write it in the story. If I could take down them Trump support, this is how I would do it. And I would smile. Let me write it down in a story. These are like sick fantasies that they're putting into these comic book characters. Oh, that's disgusting.
It's the sick fantasies of narcissists, and that kind of brings us full circle back to finally a woman will be steering the it's like everything is fine now because it's me.
Right.
Yeah.
And from a creative aspect too, one other thing I gotta knock the X-Men Green thing for the Deer Girl when she killed the store clerk. She didn't even use her antlers. She used something else. It's like, you could have used your fucking antlers to kill this guy. You didn't even try. What the hell? Come on. I'm sorry. That's just me. It's just nitpicking it now at this point.
Yeah, you're like, okay, like this is stupid, but this is on the table. This is part of your powers. Why did you not, why did the writer not think to have, that's like having Colossus go in and he's like, I'm going to kill somebody. And he like does it with a box cutter.
Yeah.
You're like,
exactly.
You turn into like organic steel and you're super strong. You can just like pop their head like right off. Like,
I think that's what she did. I think she used a box cutter to kill the guy. I think that's what she used.
No, I have to go back but you guys keep talking. I'll look for it.
Oh, Max, you don't want to go back.
I have to now. I mean, do we have to figure out what she actually killed him with? Because Steph is 100% right. These are the sick fantasies of individuals who are narcissistic, egotistical sociopaths who, like you said, Aaron, believe that they are the second coming of Christ, that they will be the ones to save humanity, right? And how much more self-centered, condescending, and arrogant can you be? So yeah, I mean, that is the scariest part, is that these are the people that think that they're going to be the end all be all, that they're going to change the minds of the world.
We live in a very immoral time, and these things that used to be morality tales are being written by people who have no morality. So it's an attack. It's an attack on our institutions. It's taking critical nodes and infrastructure of our society and subverting them and making them miserable and depressing and dragging them down to the most base human level. And I can't help but think that is a complete psyop. In every possible way, make everything ugly, and all of our spirits will be broken, and then we'll just fall into line.
Yeah.
Pyro with his stupid face tattoo. I hate that so much.
Pyro. God damn it.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. Max, it's like, look, one thing, if I take the Lord's name in vain, I am pissed. And it's shit like that pisses me off.
It's and there are a few times where we've read comics where we've gotten that pissed, where we, throw down with some of our words, but she didn't want to die alone. And then you see this poor turtle. Oh, Steph, yeah, this is your favorite. Turtles are your favorite. So
they are my favorite, but you know what? This is a hand-drawn turtle. I really don't care. Like
Steph, no, you love turtles. You've got to go to Owen's Grocery and you got to murder a box boy
and kill somebody because a turtle mistook this grocery bag as a jellyfish, because jellyfish are sea turtles' like main diet, right? So he probably saw it and thought it was a jellyfish and choked on it.
You know what the biggest thing in the ocean is right now, aside from that all those plastic bottles in the sea? Do you know what some of the most waste is? So we all have to drink, in California, there's a lot of places where you go and you have to get a shitty paper straw because one turtle was found with a straw in its throat. You know what's choking the oceans right now? All those masks that we had to wear, all those useless masks.
Yeah, all those masks. Yeah.
And all those plastics, or all those paper straws too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I saw so many masks just discarded on the ground after
it's disgusting.
They were the mandates were lifted. You didn't have to wear them anymore. There's just so many blue masks.
Yeah,
so many.
What's her name?
So many people mad at me for
we still have a bunch. I mean, in the office where I work, we still have a bunch on hand, because at any chance, like any time any of our counties where the COVID rate goes up from low to medium or high, we got to get those out and ready to go.
Oh no!
I tell you, I kept getting badgered about not wearing a mask, or like when California said you can't go down to the beach, I went down and I hung out on the beach, and then I came walking back up, and there's a cop waiting for me, and he's like, you're not supposed to be on the beach, right? He goes, there's an ordinance about not being allowed on the beach, and I said, I heard about that. I said, it's a good thing I'm a free man protected by the Constitution, and the cop just smiled and he goes, you have a good day, sir. Like went on his way. I was like, I just had to tell you, but yeah, I like where you're coming from.
I did not like the masks. I hated them. I never wore them. Anytime I got after the store, people really didn't say anything, like, because they were you had to wear them like in stores or whatever, and nobody ever said anything to me. The one time that someone actually said something to me was, funnily enough, a nurse at the dentist's office.
So you're going to put it on and then take it right back off.
Take it right back off to open up my mouth and keep it open while the dentist works in my mouth.
You weren't eating, Steph. You have to actually be sitting and eating. I'm
gonna have my mask off and mouth open. So whatever's flying in the air is gonna get into it, right? But I had to wear a mask. Like, she made such a big deal.
Oh man!
It was just like, we still require, because this was like after, it was like on a business by business basis. The masks were required. Like the mandate had lifted. If the masks are still required in certain businesses, and that's at their discretion. So at my dentist's office, the masks were still required. And you could tell it was a double masker that came to me. She's like, you need to wear a mask. I was like, I don't have one. Well, we still require masks. Well, can I have one of yours? Because I don't have one. I was like, and then I looked at it, I was like, do I really have to put it on? I'm going to go into the office and take it off and open up my mouth. You're still required to wear a mask.
Germs into the air. The last time the only real confrontation I had with anybody, because I'm not the type, like, if I walk into a business and they're like, we require masks, I'd be like, okay, cool, and I'd walk back out. Like, I'm not shopping here. That's fine. I'm not going to yell at the employees or anything like that. But when we went to New York Comic Con, and we were walking around, and nobody was wearing masks, but they had like people that were walking around trying to enforce it. And somebody said, "Oh, I noticed you don't have a mask." Like one of the people said, "Oh, I noticed you don't have a mask. Here, let me get you one." And I just took it from him. I said, "Oh, thank you." And immediately, like just right in front of him, just put it in my pocket, like, and then just kept on my way. It was like, you know, I wasn't gonna be confrontational, but it's like I'm not putting this on. This is ridiculous.
It's like the Ron Swanson where he goes, "Hi, sir. Would you like some of our like, you know, non
vegan bacon?
Our vegan bacon?" He goes, "Yes, please, thank you." And he takes it and he just drops it in the trash and he goes, "I'll have another, please." And the guy goes, "Are you gonna take it though, sir?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll take it." And then he takes it and puts it in the trash again. He's like, "Another, please." But yeah, no, there were multiple. I envy you guys because there were multiple places here in California that required, especially because I was still active duty Marine Corps. So our work required us to wear some sort of face covering or mask. And then outside of work, even when we went to shops around SoCal, even my comic shop, I couldn't shop in my comic shop without a mask on. So people were very adamant where I was. But you know, everyone is different. So
we had a couple of restaurants that didn't close. Like we had a couple of independent restaurants that did not shut down. They were like, "No, we absolutely will not shut down." And when I found out that where those restaurants were, we were going and we were eating there. It's like we were going in, we were supporting them, we were sitting down, and we were eating. Absolutely. And then I was posting pictures. I wasn't saying where it was just because I didn't want to bring in them any heat that they didn't need. But like I'd post a picture of me out eating. And people would be like, "Oh!" People online would be freaking out, and it's like,
I did not want to wear a mask. I did not want to wear them. Nobody ever told me anything. I would walk into the stores, do what I needed to do, and get out. Nobody said
that's anything. Awesome. Well, you were in Texas still at that point, Tejas.
Did you wear what were they called? The masks that like they're not the surgical ones, but they're the neck, the ones that you wear on.
Like the gators?
The neck gator?
Yeah, neck gator.
That's what it's called. Did you wear one of those when you were in the military and grow out your beard and just hide it?
Oh, I wish, but no, I didn't have the balls to, or as John would say, I didn't have the fucking cock and balls.
Reach down and grab them and pull them up
and just fucking.
But what about in his case where he reaches down and then he's like just pawing around down there trying to find him?
Trying to find him. Yeah, he can't find him.
It's a Ken doll. Yeah. Oh, so he was the guy in the fish tank in the basket.
Yeah.
Oh God, that dude.
Okay.
That was really sad. I was like, is he wearing he's wearing underwear? I was like, he's not completely naked because there's nothing there. And then it was like, and then you have to do it. You're like,
do you look closer?
You're just like continually like enlarging the screen, and you're like, what?
I was like, is that a trans? All I see is bush.
Yeah.
I hope he's a grower because he sure ain't a shower.
That fish tank must be really cold.
Yeah, ice cold.
He was in the pool.
I was in the pool. Yeah, Mike. I had a friend of mine who actually got the vid. And so he stayed home. And I think at that point in the military, it was like 12 days or something. And this dude could grow a beard in like 2 days. So he zoomed in for like a meeting for us on like day 10 or something, just black facial hair, full on beard. And like our like captain, our officer at the time was like, "What the fuck am I looking at right now?" He was so mad. He's like, "Oh, sir, I'm still at home because the 10 days." He's like, "I don't give two fucks. You're shaving your disgusting face right now." He was, it was not
made him shave on screen.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the neck gator thing, we still had to wear them. It was absolutely ridiculous though, because we'd be out in the field for like field exercises for like 2 weeks at a time. And they'd be like, "Oh, do you have your neck gaiters?" And it's like, we're in the middle of nowhere. We haven't showered for 7 days. Like if we're going to get COVID out here, then we're all dead anyway. So it's like, it was a little ridiculous. So
wow.
At Frankensons, we had to when they opened back up, we were supposed to wear the mask, but so I just went and got one of those face shields with like the headband, I was wearing that, and I didn't put on the
yeah. I wore
the
the
face
mask
shield was great.
a couple of times, but I did not like it. I'm like, I'm breathing in my own breath. That has to be dangerous.
Ugh, it feels great.
And all those fibers, and who knows what that mask is
Yeah.
made of. Like, it's one of those things that it did more harm than good.
Yeah.
Didn't
Speaking of
prevent anything.
speaking of more harm than good, we'll end with this. We just got to rehash this. Speaking of, like, earlier we were talking about how so many of these people think that they are the ones that are going to save the world. The dialogue from this character is literally, "I will save the world," because her on the next page, she's going to kill a store clerk
With the scissors, there we go.
Scissors.
Yep.
Use scissors.
scissors. "This planet is not your toilet, you stupid barbarian." And this is supposed to be the moral woman to look towards in the X-Men. Like, we're supposed to believe that she is the one to be the outstanding moral, motivation. So, like you guys
know what
said,
this reminds me
What's
of?
ridiculous about this is that this guy, he just runs the store, right? He just like who
He's
it's
just store
whoever
manager.
bought, it's whoever bought the groceries and discarded the bag.
Yeah.
Or maybe they threw it in a proper receptacle, but when it was on the trash truck or something like that, it blew out.
Or something.
And there's a million different ways.
It's his responsibility. He needs to know where that trash goes.
Yeah.
The thing that pissed me off about this, and this is something that, like, okay, so Perch's review of Jerry Duggan's latest book, which we looked at initially. Apparently Jerry Duggan was pretty butthurt about that and felt like Perch, you don't even understand the characters. You don't read
Seriously?
That's what I mean. This is all secondhand, but I don't even know. But apparently, like, we don't understand the characters when we make these kind of complaints. Was kind of what I heard secondhand, because people in this industry they all talk to each other.
He's full of shit. Jerry Duggan's full of shit. That's all I got to say.
So here's Nature Girl. She murders this clerk. I remember a story where Phoenix decided that she was going to kill Selene, the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club, who is basically a vampire. Mm-hmm. And she finds, while she's hunting her, she finds 2 more bodies of people that Selene has drained and killed. Or no, that took place after. Okay, so anyway, she's going to kill Selene. So she goes and starts hunting Selene down, and Wolverine goes to stop her. Wolverine, who kills people with his claws all the time, and he tells her, if somebody comes at you, like somebody comes at, she's like, you've killed all kinds of people, Wolverine. And he goes, if somebody comes at me with a knife, I'll meet them head on. But they're coming to kill me. And so I will meet them with the same amount of force. What you're doing is premeditated murder. You've decided to stalk her and murder her. And that is not something that the X-Men do. And Rachel, who he loves, it's one of his team members. She says to him, the only way to stop me, Wolverine, is to kill me. And the last panel of that comic just says snicked. It's a black panel. Just says snicked. He stabs her and nearly kills her. And the next issue, she comes across some bodies that, like, as she's like trying to get away, she's bleeding out. She's, trying to, just basically like trying to survive. Yeah. She comes across 2 bodies that of victims of Selene, and she says, "This is your fault, Wolverine." She psychically reaches out and she grabs Wolverine. She throws him on the freaking train tracks and is like, these murders are on your hands. But that's the morality of the X-Men. Wolverine's like, you're not going to go and just commit murder. I won't let you do it. You're an X-Man. You're supposed to be better. And this guy who wrote these books is telling us what the X-Men mean, what they really mean. We don't understand it.
And don't forget don't forget the oil refinery where these blue collar workers are just doing their job, and you have these protesters saying, "We respectfully ask you to stop." And these are guys who probably have a wife and kids. They probably work 12, 14 hours a day with their hands. They're just they're making their livelihood. And Nature Girl comes out of nowhere, kills this dude, and then 6 bees on the rest of them and kills them all. And the rest of the protesters go, "Their refinery, it's a few kilometers over that ridge." Like, it's just a peace sign. And yeah, she kills the rest of them. Blood splatter and everything. And she's just like, yeah, this is just what I have to do. I'm making things right. You can see them all dead lying on the ground after being attacked by these bees. And oh yay, but sandwiches for the doggy, sandwiches for us.
Footsy woodsies, yumsy wumsies.
Yeah. She's like, I feel reborn after killing some, Midwestern good old boys, just doing their job, working their job. They're working
with their hands muddied.
Yeah. So
sorry, I almost went into AJ Styles theme song there.
They have the Earth's blood on their hands. That's Earth's blood. That's what it is.
Oh my god!
And that character gets no comeuppance.
I'm telling you, sick fantasies. That's what these are. Sick fantasies.
But yeah, so you guys are right. It's the people who are telling us that we are the immoral ones are the ones that are writing these stories, and it's pretty pathetic. So, but I have taken way too much of your time, Steph. So I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight and weighing in on the most important issues, especially when you've got guys thinking that they can speak for you on your behalf.
How dare they?
How dare they? So we appreciate you and we love your voice coming on here and telling it how it is. So where can we find you? Well, I mean, oh, come on. Everyone knows who you are, Steph. But yeah, can we promote you or is there anything fun coming up with G&G? Any news that's coming up for you? What can we promote you with?
Yeah, you can follow me on Kick and Twitch. Yes.
Yeah.
I am going back to Twitch because Twitch has become disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's become quite nasty. All you find there is naked ladies. So I'm bringing a little bit of wholesomeness back to Twitch with some Animal Crossing streams, Mario Kart, stuff like that. So back on Twitch. Follow Geeks and Gamers Life. I'm gonna try to do like 2 to 3 vlogs on that channel a week. Long ones or mini ones, but I want to put out more content on Geeks and Gamers Life channel. And also, if you're able to make it to MegaCon, that's going to be a lot of fun. First weekend in January, G&G will be there, Nerdrotic team will be there, Rippaverse team will be there, and a few pretty awesome guests as well. You guys won't want to miss it. So if you're able to make it, if you can't make like the MegaCon panel, which our panel will be on Saturday, then try and make it to the meetup because we're going to also do a meetup as well. And we have a couple of fun things planned for the meetup. So if you can make any of these meetups, actually, if you can make any of them, I highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun. You get to meet all of your favorite creators and, you get to talk to them for a long while. And you get to just have fun with like people in the community. And it makes you feel even more close to like the people that you see in chat and stuff. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to make any of those meetups, I highly, highly recommend them. I used to be a little bit timid because I was kind of scared at first, but now I just I look forward to the next one. So those are a lot of fun. But other than that, everything is at My Nerdy Home. Cool.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think those meetups are extremely special. It's the first time I actually met you. Well, it wasn't through YouTube. It was at the meetup.
At a meetup.
And so, just they're really, really special. And unfortunately, I won't make it to MegaCon, but Vegas is on the schedule and Dallas is on the schedule. So those are the next ones. Steph and I have tried to make it a promise at this point that it's like, okay, can we do 3 times a year? 4 times a year, maybe 4? We're trying to set like a precedent,
I know.
I
think we only see each other in Vegas now, right? Maybe. Or no, we saw each other in Dallas.
We saw each other in Dallas.
Yeah. It's like way too long in between meetups.
Yeah, it's like 6 months.
Dallas is the big one. That's what we're all aiming for now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that one's really fun.
I actually discovered Steph on Twitter. I had been drinking, and it was right when the Masters of the Universe Netflix show dropped, and Kevin Smith was exposed as a fraud, and that everything he had said about Clownfish TV was bullshit. And I was just I'd had a few drinks, and I was like just desperately searching, like who's talking about this? Who's talking about this right now? I have so much to say about this, and who's talking about it? And then I found Steph, and she and Mara were talking about it on Talk Nerdy to Me.
Yeah.
And I went over, then I started watching it. I was just like super chatting, like because I had to talk about it so bad. And then she came on with Wes and I, and then I found out, Max, that you knew her when we went to Vegas, and so yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
it is a really great community.
Kevin Smith is such a fraud.
I couldn't.
I know some stuff that I can't even talk about too with him. So,
well, we saw him in LA, and I mean, he seemed incredibly lovely there. I didn't see anything that he was being weird about, but I'll say is that he had a smaller group of people in his panel than the Chris Gore's Film Threat panels.
Yep.
So
it shows you where the fandom's heading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
they want sincerity.
True.
They want people who give their honest opinion, whether they agree with them or not. They want to know that we're not shilling. And I think that's what everybody's bringing to the table is that, you get our honest, unvarnished opinion all the time.
Dude, that's why people are like turning on Chris Stuckman. Like, and he's just a movie reviewer.
Well, he's like,
I noticed it. I stopped watching him. I noticed it when he started making his film.
Oh,
when he started making his film,
because he said, I'm not going to criticize anyone.
I'm not going to criticize as hard. He wouldn't go in as hard as he used to. He used to be extremely critical of movies, and that's why I liked watching him. Because he was very in-depth, right? But then he started making his own movie. And I was like, dude, he's become soft. What is going on? And then he said, like, I'm not going to be as critical because now I understand. Now I understand. It's like, no way. You are just garnering some of this. You're just garnering some good critiques for whatever you're making. I don't think
going along to get along.
Yeah, exactly. So he would like give terrible movies, like really good reviews. I'm like, what is it? No way. I stopped watching him. A long time ago.
Yeah.
And like, I'm surprised that like more people didn't stop following him way back when, because I like started noticing it like a long time ago when he started making his movie.
Right. When you've been on YouTube for over 15 years, 14 years at this point, you have garnered such a large following of people that it's really difficult. Like now, granted, Drinker has, a few 100,000 subscribers less than Chris and gets almost 10 times the amount of interaction. He's getting a million views on some of Drinker's reviews. Stuckman gets 10 to 100,000, I want to say, views on a
because they're
video.
so disingenuous. People see right through it.
Well, they're corporatized,
very disingenuous. Like,
yeah.
The
review is so and so directed this movie, and the movie is this length, and I liked said movie. Thank you for watching my review. It's like you added nothing to that. It's so bland. So it's unfortunate because
his delivery has always been that way.
Well, yeah,
it's always been incredibly just bland and very monotone.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get too excited, and when he gets excited, it's just like, I really like that. Yeah. That's how he's like, I enjoyed that part.
His 2024
excited about something because he's very just nothing. There's really nothing. So if he's excited and he actually smiles, or whatever, it's very rare. But now it's kind of like, dude, he's smiling at everything. There's something wrong. That is not Chris Stuckman.
His 2024 video of like, oh, here are my best films of 2024. He was like, wow, here we are, guys. 2024. It's been 14 years. That's crazy. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's 14 years you've been on YouTube, and you're now like reviewing the best films of 2023 or whatever. Like, that's insane. And he's like, so crazy. All right, well, here are my 10 films or whatever. Like,
can you imagine trying to put together
his delivery like that, though? But what I liked, like, he's always been very bland with his delivery. Always.
Sure.
It's never been. It's no different than it was, years ago. But what changed was like his opinions on things. Yeah. He's played it very corporate. He wants to rub them shoulders. Getting good.
That's no different than Grace Randolph or anybody. They bring you in with access and then they own you. Yeah. And And then the deeper and deeper that you get, the more and more they own you. And then pretty soon you got to fly to an island and you got to do some stuff that they have on video so that they can keep you in line. It's like,
I honestly do think that like he's gotten even more corporatized, if that's the word I want to use, because I think he had like a baby too. So it's more of like the stability.
But I mean,
I know people who say that Kevin Smith, when he's doing his show with his co-host, I can't remember what the name of his co-host, the Fat Man on Batman podcast.
Right.
But there's been numerous times that like he's like stopped it and been like, "What are you doing? Why are you saying that? You're going to cost me work." Like he's scolded his co-host.
Oh, Mark Harden, or whatever his name is.
Off the record, because there's just certain things you can't criticize it that much because I know people.
Yeah, see, it's so disingenuous, and that's why like I would be more worried about like if it's going from the angle of like, oh, he's a new dad, that job stability. You would think that being honest with your audience, you would get that loyalty, right? So you don't have to worry about anything like that. I mean,
Chris,
if you're comparing Drinker to Stuckman, look at that. Drinker has that loyalty. He has that loyal fan base. Why? Because they appreciate what he has to say, because he's not going to lie and shill, unlike Stuckman would. So.
Chris would make more money being honest and genuine than having bland, basic, corporatized takes. The other thing that I think is really frustrating is that in his video that he talked about why cinema is dying, is that he said that moviegoers and viewers are not taking chances and that they're too afraid of challenging themselves with other films. And I'm like, oh, go blame the fans. Isn't that just the perfect way to end the year, So it's like, even he's doing it. And this is someone who like,
What's funny though is that he used to have a take. He used to say that studios weren't the risk takers. Studios weren't the ones taking the risks.
How the turntables.
Yeah. How the turntables.
Have the turntables.
He used to say that. He used to be like, yeah, the studios weren't, it was too safe. They played it too safe. They're not taking risks. And that's really, he used to say that studios weren't the ones taking risks. They're playing it too safe. Yeah.
Well, we're not taking risks on films that we know are going to be garbage. Like that's really the, it's like, it's not that, people went and like, I went and saw The Creator. And I will say that was that movie. That was an original film, and it was an original concept, and I liked the visuals. Do I remember anything about it? No, it didn't stick with me.
It didn't.
So I don't think it was a particularly impactful film in that way. But as I was sitting there watching it,
to go and check out on a Wednesday evening when I had
and they made that on a low budget, and I don't know if it was profitable or if it flopped. I'm not sure, but they managed to make it look like a big budget movie on a low budget.
Yeah, they did. It was good.
And Chris Gore talks about it all the time. The reason that these movies are such risks is because of Hollywood bloat. You have so many executives that have to be involved, and it costs so much. And then because of the unions and their continual demands, you have to, that pads it out. And that's why you can get a movie like Godzilla -1 that was made on a budget of $15 million. And it's going to be profitable because, you kept your costs low and it looks good. And it's fun and it's a great story. People respond to it. But, when you've got a $250 million budget because you had to pay, a bunch of spoiled actors that are in a union that demands certain things, and you had to provide certain things, and all the craft services had to be this. And, Jennifer Lawrence needed only green M&Ms in her dressing room, like all those things. I mean, that's just not nuts.
No, I know. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Pretty dead.
That
came from like Mariah Carey or one of those divas.
Yeah,
I thought it was Van Halen. They didn't want the brown M&Ms in their bowl. I think that was where it started.
Who?
I feel like that's one of those things where they're just like, can we get away with this? It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it's Van Halen. It's Van Halen in their writer
contract. Van Halen.
Yeah, they didn't want brown M&Ms in their dressing rooms, in the green rooms.
Drew, was the cover of Wolverine and Beast, was that what we were saying they submitted to be like, I wonder if we can get away with this shit?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, can we, like, so on Friday night, we were talking about a comic book cover for the new X-Force book. And what was that?
It shows the level of quality of Marvel Comics. Bear in mind, Steph, like earlier than the show, we saw these great, beautiful covers in the 1990s, these legendary, iconic images. And this is where we are now. This is 2024 Marvel now. What he's getting ready to show you.
Oh, John Cassidy. That's right.
Yeah. who is an exceptional artist. So there's no excuse for.
Or was. I don't know.
Which is why it's so weird. This is a legitimate
actual cover.
Published Marvel cover.
When I first saw this, I had two questions. I said, okay, is this a mock-up that he sent the editor? Like he was like, this is like the kind of the layout. And it was just a really quick mock-up that he did on the computer and sent it over. And then they ran it because the editors there are stupid and incompetent. Or did John Cassidy have a stroke and this is like the best that he can do now? And they're just throwing him some work. But like, what's the story? Do we know the story behind this? Was this released? Is this out?
So this is, I believe it is going to be published. Like,
oh my God, no,
I think this is the cover. But so here's the theory that we came up with on Friday. Or 2 Fridays ago, I forget. So we think that John Cassidy is just trolling because we know that he can do good work. Mm-hmm. And so we think that John Cassidy was like, I wonder if I just give them shit if their standards are so low that they'll just accept it.
Or he was insulted by the cover rate and he was like, this is what you get for that much money.
Yeah. That he was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. Sure. I'll turn this in, So there's a part of me that's like, I wonder if he's just being meta, just trying to, I don't know, but man, that's quite the
I could draw a better cover than this. I'm not even an artist, but I'm not making a joke. I can do it.
I'm not an artist, and this is how I would draw Wolverine. Like
this
the proportions are so fucking weird. Where's his neck? Like,
yep.
It's so
yeah. Looks like Peach Momoko did it. Jesus, it's bad.
He looks like a real person.
He does. His one arm is.
He looks like Puck. He's got the proportions of Puck.
Oh yeah, you're right. Rob Liefeld, right? Or no?
No, that was John Byrne, Alpha Flight. That was
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I can't believe that's an actual cover.
Yeah, so that's the state of Marvel. Yay! Black and white starts slowly painting. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh my God, that made me think of your Christmas video with the.
Oh yeah. Of the Flurkin, where she goes,
the bad flute that plays like the Titanic song, like.
Oh, the recorder.
Right? We need to play the X-Men theme to that cover.
Yeah, it's like the video starts off with some beautiful, badass like Jim Lee covers or whatever, and then it transitions to that cover and the music changes. Yeah.
It's like where you see the drawing of the horse that starts out really perfectly rendered and just goes to the.
Yeah. Oh man.
No.
Well, gosh dang it, we could talk for hours it seems, but I do want to respect these guys' time, so I'll get us out of here. Chat, you guys have been amazing tonight. Thank you for all the super chats and thank you for all the memberships. And thank you for being here for the first Max's Man Cave of 2024. We always love having you guys here in the chat. We couldn't do it without y'all. Thank you to our wonderful guest, Steph from My Nerdy Home. Go follow her on Kick and Twitch. And you won't regret it because like Steph is one of those creators that like I legitimately go watch because that's my viewing. I would rather watch that than anything else. So I legitimately watch her stuff and it's a lot of fun. And go check out Aaron Sparrow and Drew. Drew, you can find you on Facebook, but Aaron you can find him on Comics Aficionados. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on sometimes with Neon and Geeky Sparkles over on Clownfish. Drew is on Westwood Thinking Critical with the best comics of the week on Saturdays. So can you?
And I will be on World Class Bullshitters on Tuesday. They've invited me to come back. So
hey, great, excellent. Well, then we will see you guys all there to go hang out with Aaron, and go check out Geeks and Gamers for more videos and vlogs from Steph. But thank you again, guys. Remember to reject modernity and embrace your legacy. And we will see y'all next week. Take care. Thanks again.
Thanks for coming.